You mix a whiskey drink, you mix a vodka drink, you mix a lager drink, an Irish jig.
No. Oh. Hi, everyone. Welcome
Hello,
back to another
everyone.
episode of Jokes on Us.
This is the Jokes on Us podcast. How are you guys doing today?
How are you guys doing? Let us know in the comments below. Today, as we said... what were you going to say?
No, you're fine.
I was just going to say, today, as we said last week, we are going to get into Sinners. Okay?
We're going to get into it, mama.
We're going to get into Sinners. Darius has his notes. I have my notes. We have a lot to say.
Right. That being said, if you have not seen Sinners, you need to go see it immediately. It is breaking box office records right now for an original film post-COVID. Ryan Coogler did his big one with the writing and directing of this movie. It is we're going to obviously have spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen it, make sure you do see it. And we have a lot to say. Malik and I have a lot to say. We haven't talked to each other about it at all yet. But I'm excited to see his thoughts and opinions. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it if you're with the times and, and hip. But if not, go get hip and come back.
Please do. Before we get into it, though, I want to talk about my experience there. And I want to make a call of action to my fellow Black community.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up when you guys are in a movie theater. What is going on?
Oh,
what is going on? What is going on? What is going on? I went to the movies, and when I tell you, that's actually at the top of my list. I went to the movies, and I feel like I usually will go. I try to go if I go to the movies and I'm like alone. I go during the day or whatever, and not many people go to movies. I noticed that also not many Black people go to movies nowadays in my area. I feel like there's not, and I'm in a Black area, but they don't really go to movies. So I'm mostly alone. Sinners, though, there was a lot of Black people there, so I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And then I actually want them to not go to the movies anymore. Actually, because I'm sitting in my row, right? And this older couple walks in, maybe like older, like maybe like parents' age, our parents' age.
Okay.
And they come in, they sit in my row, they aren't next to me at all. They're maybe like 4 or 5 seats down. And I had I think I was walking behind them at a point in time, and I already was hearing whatever they were talking about, which should have told me something, but I wasn't even thinking about it.
Okay.
Then, I sit down, and I'm hearing them talking, but I'm like, it doesn't really matter because I'm early. Like, the previews aren't even on yet. It's still like the things before the preview, so I'm like, I don't care what they're talking about.
Right.
And he's going, oh, I really want some popcorn. And she said, oh, don't worry, baby. I'll go get you some popcorn.
Okay.
So she walks, and she's at the end of the thing, so she could have went to the right and went down, but she decided to go in front of me. I had to
Right.
move my thing back up. She said, sorry, baby. She goes gets the popcorn. She comes back, sorry, baby. And comes behind me, sits down. Oh, this popcorn. I need some water. Comes over there. Sorry, baby. Goes over back. Comes back. Sorry, baby. Napkins.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is. I put this on everything I love.
Why did they think of any of that when she first left?
I don't know. And then,
okay.
Sorry, baby. Comes back. Sorry, baby. And then she sits back down. So then I'm like, whatever, fine. But they're still talking. Now the previews are starting. They're still talking at a normal volume. And I'm like, This is very interesting.
Okay.
When I tell you they had something to say about every single preview that was in this motherfucking movie, I wish I was kidding. They were going... There was some preview for a movie with Kerry Washington and I don't know who. It's like an action movie that's coming out. And at the end he said, Kerry Washington, she's come a long way. She's come a really long way. I'm going, what are we even doing?
Did you know she used to do Spanish lesson?
I did know that. She's been in one of our Spanish books.
In one of our Spanish books?
I swear she's been, and I swear, what's her face in Modern Family
Sofia Vergara.
IJ. Yes.
Ay, Dios mío.
She was in one. I swear she was in one of our Spanish books too. Or maybe I'm thinking of Zoe Saldana. I don't know. Whatever. It
Oh,
doesn't matter. Sorry. And then like after there was that other movie with like that one football movie, satanic ritual
The
movie.
Blind
I don't
Side. No, I'm just kidding.
know. But then she said, "Oh, I am not seeing that. I am not seeing that. I
Oh,
rebuke
but
it."
that's Sinners.
Uh, and I was going, this is really crazy. Every single thing they had something to say. Then there was that one movie drop, like where like they're on a date and then like she's getting like an airdrop and then the airdrop's going, you need to kill your date or whatever.
Oh, I
And
think
then
I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
and then I think at the end of the movie, like it's almost like they're falling out of like wherever they were. And then there's like a part in the movie where it will be like it like the preview was going like doom, and then she would be slipping doom, then she'd be slipping doom, and every time in between those dooms she go oh,
No.
and I'm going, this is like I'm thinking about, do I say something to these people? This is literally crazy. Then movie starts. Throughout the movie, everybody said, let's join in on the conversation.
Oh my God.
I know that's right. You better get him, Stack. Ooh,
No.
not him. Like laughing and hooting and hollering, and I'm like, I don't know, like I get it, but that was just a little too much for me.
Oh my
That was a
God.
little too much for me.
That is
It was just crazy. It was crazy.
okay. So my movie going experience was a little bit different.
Okay.
I told my parents that we had to go see Sinners immediately, and I told them. Or my dad had heard a little bit about it. He had heard that it was good or whatever, but he didn't really know much about it. And I think he had seen the trailer. I hadn't seen the trailer, and my mom didn't know anything about it at all, right? And so I looked up the movie theater that we were going to go to and everything, and I was trying to see it in IMAX because everyone was like, you have to see it in the IMAX, the best IMAX you can get. And girl, this is Ohio. I don't know if you remember where I'm at, but they did not have any kind of like 70 millimeter, no IMAX, nothing like that. But I found out. I was watching TikToks. I found out there's one of the 70 millimeter like IMAX movie theaters is in Indianapolis. I could have just, it would have been a lot to drive 2 hours, but we could have made a day out of it, like, or whatever. But I didn't do that. So we went to this thing. They didn't have no recliner seats. I have not been to a theater with non-recliner seats in 10 years. It was the ghetto, and I was like, this is really crazy. Whatever. Anyways, there was no black people in my, not no black people. There was
So it was
not a lot.
quiet.
No, can you?
So it's
I'm
quiet.
segueing. I'm segueing. I'm
Okay.
segueing. This is no tea, no shade to black people. So, because I didn't have that experience. There were definitely black people there, but it was more of just a mixed crowd. Like I'm in Ohio. Like in where was I? I don't remember specifically when I was at. I went to an AMC. But anyway, so when I was doing my research on this video, this is actually really scary because like I was seeing all positive reviews, all people just like talking about it, giving their thoughts or whatever. But I stumbled upon this video of this white man
Who said, go to hell, you niggers? To the black people? Yeah.
Yes. He actually said exactly what you just said in this first 20 minutes, and now I'm embarrassed. Like in the first 8 minutes, rather. And he said black people are just the most loud and degenerate people on the planet. He said I can't go to a movie ever with black people in the hood. He said I. In the hood is really crazy. And then he said, I brought my girlfriend and she had never been to a movie with you blacks before. And she was like, what she got out of the experience going, why were they being so loud? And he was like, oh baby, you don't really know. Black people are like this. You've never been to a hood theater before. And I was going, oh my gosh, thinking this is so crazy. Like there was black people in my thing and they weren't talking loud and whatever. And now you opened with saying that black people are the most degenerate group of people in the movie theater ever. And then, but the thing is I was watching a response video to that white guy saying that he was actually really just definitely racist. But
No,
like
he was
you could
doing
tell
a
like
lot.
yeah,
He was
was doing
shirtless.
yes, this is a shirtless guy. He was doing a lot. And you could clearly tell he had some sort of vendetta. It wasn't just his movie experience, like you could clearly tell. But the video I was watching was responding to him, and he was talking about how like the Minecraft movie, they were fucking shit up at the Minecraft movie. If you're talking about being loud, those white teenage boys were throwing pop. You know how pissed I would be if you were throwing confetti and popcorn down my back. I'd be so upset while I was watching. Now at least black people weren't doing that, but I didn't know that the girls were in Chicago were speaking loudly and going, you better fuck them up.
They were. You better fuck them up. They said, I know that's right. And I said, oh my God. Like, it was just but like, they can enjoy themselves. At least they weren't doing
Now you
confetti.
don't
They
want to side
weren't
yourself
doing
with the white man,
popcorn.
huh?
No, I'm not siding myself with me. I'm telling them that they need
Mm.
to shut the hell up for my sake, not the white man's sake, for mine. Because that was just too much. And it's just something that I just would expect from younger generations. But it
Right.
was like older ones that just really had me floored, that I was just like, what's going on? But that guy was doing a lot. He said the police came specifically for sinners, which was crazy.
Right. Yeah, he said
Um,
that they were down the block, and that you wonder why this movie had all these police this police presence. I was like, what? I didn't have no police in my theater.
yeah, the police weren't there. They should have been though. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding. But they weren't. They weren't there. But then I know what I actually thought you were going to talk about first was I saw a video where this woman who went to Indianapolis. So maybe you're good that you didn't go to see this 70 millimeter.
uh-huh.
And she said she was sitting there and there was black people and then there was also white people. And then like at the end where like he, like when, Smoke asked him like Hogwood, the white KKK guy, for a cigarette, and he said, "Go to hell, nigger." She said that a
Oh,
white man said that.
yes. I saw that video.
It,
I forgot I saw that. I don't know why. And she said that
uh,
they something. Wait. But I was confused though. She said that man turned to one of the black people
a
next to
black
him and just
couple,
said it to
yeah.
him. Why
Yeah.
would he do that?
I don't know. Maybe he was overwhelmed by the spirit of his, his culture.
Like that
He was
woman when she
overwhelmed,
said,
like,
or whatever she did. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, which is so crazy. And that's what happened to him. He was very overwhelmed by the spirit of the culture. Like that woman at
Okay.
Moana.
This
Um,
Moana is crazy and a microaggression.
no, it was Moana. That's why it's crazy that she was doing all that for Moana.
What?
The
I thought she was
movie,
I thought she was in Hawaii, like at a thing, and she was like, she was not at a
no,
movie theater.
she wasn't at a movie theater, but it was something about Moana. I swear on everything.
I
My
thought it was
life.
just Polynesian people, or like not Polynesian,
Now
but
I need to look up because you're making me crazy.
you're
It
about to
was
be
that woman
canceled.
who, no, I'm not. If she was overwhelmed by the spirit of Moana.
It was. I swear it was not Moana. I swear she just like it was like some a traditional Hawaiian like some like dance or something, and she was like. She just felt like she had to something rumble inside of her. But I swear it was not
No,
Moana.
she said you're just a white gal who got overwhelmed by the power of the Polynesian culture while watching Moana 2.
She was in a movie theater?
No, I think she was like maybe at a screening that was like outdoors, but that's the first thing
Oh,
that I had
maybe.
ever seen.
I knew she was outside. That's why I was confused. But maybe she was
Yeah,
outside watching
she said
Moana.
you're just a white gal who got overwhelmed by the power of the Polynesian culture
Why
while
would
watching
she do
Moana
that?
2. And that's crazy. And I was going, Moana?
And
And
then
she said, hi.
she said, "Hey, yeah." And that man said, "You." I can't even say it. I don't even know how you. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to cut these things out. You don't care about my editing at all. You don't be caring. You just be saying what you want to say. You can't
They
be
need
saying
to know.
hard R
The
and
people
just
need to know.
okay. Well, they know. And anyway, so whatever. We digress.
Yeah.
Needless to say, act accordingly in a movie theater. Don't have any spirits coming up in you, and you gotta feel like you gotta shake them out. None of that. We can't be having none of that. Be quiet. Sit down, please. Now,
Please.
I actually, when you know what's funny is like I think that sometimes when there's movies kind of like this, where it's like a culture phenomenon and you're going to see like opening weekend, I think it's okay to have a little bit of audience participation, just a smidgen, just to feel. I feel like like we all gasp at the same time, or like maybe we laugh and giggle. Like I like when there's a little bit of that. Obviously not talking throughout the entire performance, but what I will say is I went to go see The Color Purple. Now this time I was in a theater for the black people. We was with the girls. I went to see The Color Purple, and when Fantasia and Taraji P Henson kissed, or what was that the two characters? I think it's what was them. And he said, "Uy." Some little girl in the back behind me said, I knew she was gay." And and I said, "Damn!" I
Did
turned around and
anybody
said,
else say
"Damn."
anything?
What'd you say?
Did anybody else say anything?
Yeah, they laughed.
Oh.
Yeah, they thought it was funny. And I said, "This is she. Do you want a stand-up special on Netflix?" Because I didn't laugh. She was like, "No," and she literally said, I knew she was gay."
Okay, you added in an this time. Did she say
Yeah, she definitely said, She specifically said, I knew she was gay. And I said, "Oh," and everybody giggled. And I looked at my mom and she said, "Well." And I said, "Oh, so I have no solidarity around me. Everybody, all black people are loud, just as
They
loud
are
as I was
loud.
in the." I'm just kidding. But I just think this is all crazy. And now that white man just apparently, now we have a white and a black man. So who's correct? Saying that black people can't behave in theaters, and I'm not perpetuating it. I've never had that experience except for that one
I
time where she said,
have.
okay, well,
I
take it
have
from
had
Malik."
that experience. I didn't say that there was police outside the door,
Yeah, he
but there
said that it.
was a noise complaint from me
Oh, I
where
thought you were, there was a real
they
one.
didn't get there quick enough. I called them. They didn't show up, actually, is what happened. They were too busy at whatever theater that man was at. But I just want you guys to just, I don't know. Like, I do agree. Like, you can, I think it's sometimes fun. Like, say you're seeing in game and then they're going,
Right,
you're
right,
like,
right. Gasping.
but
I think
there
only
was
like
conversations.
I think only onomatopoeias like pow. I want like a I want like a
Exactly.
wow. A gasp, a little bit of a
Hmm.
scrump.
Yeah.
I don't know what a scrump is.
A scrump
But
is crazy.
I don't want anything else. You can't be talking throughout the movie. I don't want any dialogue.
Hmm.
You're not in the movie. Anyways, that being said, let's get into it. Like we said, we gave you a little bit of time to exit if you needed to go watch the movie and come back. But this is going to be our full encompassing review, spoilers included, of and thoughts, I guess, on Sinners. So we kind of want to go in a chronological order we kind of talked about.
Yeah.
So you can start first.
Okay. So first thing I want to say is, Jordan Peele, you have 24 hours to respond. You
Let's
have
stop pitting black
24
men against each other.
hours. No, I need him to get. They need him to get in the studio. I need him to get in the studio immediately because he has 24 hours, very short time to respond. I need the next thing because now I'm like, see, I feel like Ryan's coming for his gig a little, just a little bit, because
I think
this had
Ryan's
me
yes,
ball.
Ryan is tearing his Gigiana.
Yeah.
Um, and that's
Um,
really funny. Because
and I
I mean,
just,
Nope was cute. Did you like Nope?
I really like Nope. I heard that people didn't like Nope.
I thought it was okay. I think that I needed more explanation after, but I'm also just very aloof when I'm watching a movie. I'll be piecing the pieces together and stuff.
Hmm.
That's my fault. But
I think when I'm locked in, that's why I feel like I specifically like going to the movie theater because I feel like I have the ADHD. And if I'm trying to watch a movie that's not in a movie theater, I'm not paying attention.
oh,
And I feel like I like going because it forces me to lock in and pay attention.
right,
And I'm interpreting I'm locked in. My things are going in. I'm peeping the game. I'm going what's going on. And I like that I was able to do that with Sinners. Because if I would have watched it at home, I would have been going, oh, okay, well,
oh, I got a text.
yeah, that is what I was doing, and I would have forgot that I was watching it. But yeah. So we're gonna go in chronological order. So so the movie starts off, you guys. Starts
No,
off.
wait. Let me just say this. I don't remember all the chronological things. Like he specifically wrote down his stuff in chronological order. Mine's all over the place, and I don't necessarily remember what happened when because I haven't seen it in about like a week, I guess. And I should have watched it again. So just to preface that, I'm gonna be just interjecting the things that I remember. So
Yeah, I saw it a week ago too, but I luckily wrote down the notes. But I wanted to see it again as well. I wanted to see it on Sunday,
mhm.
but then I didn't. So I don't remember every single thing either. But I probably will try and remember the things as well. But anyways, movie. But why do I feel like I was thinking about something, but then I forgot it. Whatever.
Sorry, I
Movie opens
interrupted you.
up.
We're gonna have
No, it's
comments and
fine.
details.
Movie opens up with a scene alluding to the end of the movie with
Hmm.
Sammy in the church, a little bit scarred up. His father going, "Put down the guitar, Sammy. Put down the guitar." And he's going, "Hi, hi, hi." And I actually don't really want to talk about that scene yet until we get into it, the thing.
Right,
Unless
right.
you want to say something right now.
No, I'm agreeing.
Um,
Wait.
but gets into that and then it goes backwards into the beginning of the it goes backwards in time but now to the beginning of the movie. And also
Right.
this is what I wanted to say, sorry, before we really get into it. The one thing I wanted to say was this movie wasn't what I thought it was going to be giving, right? I had
Hmm.
seen the trailers. I think I told you this, but I had seen the trailers before and like I had wanted to see the movie. And actually got pushed back for sure because it was supposed to come out like before we were supposed to move, and I wanted to see it with Darius when we were still like in Chicago, but then it got pushed back. And the thing that I didn't like though is because they showed Haley Steinfeld's character was going to be a vampire in the thing, and in the
Oh.
trailer, so they had already
Oh
shown
wow.
that. And I had my assumption of this movie was that it was gonna be like kind of like a um the vampires who are white are doing
Right.
something to these black people and
Right.
stuff like
Right.
that. And and one thing I want, this is what I was gonna say in the beginning. One thing like I like the what's the word? Like when you put the pill in the applesauce. Like when you,
Right. Where it's like a subliminal kind of messaging.
yeah, even though a lot of people don't get those things, which makes me a little angry. Um, but sometimes I'm like, I like the idea of the pill in the applesauce, but sometimes I don't want the pill in the applesauce because I want people to fully understand a
You want
thing.
them to take that pill and swallow it.
Exactly. I want them to take the hard pill and swallow it. They don't need the applesauce, you know? Because some people like, I want uh, One Piece reference, but I want my fishmen to be black. Like I want them to be
Mhm.
black. I don't want to have people interpret
Right. Right.
what
Right.
is
That
what,
they're supposed
you
to be
know?
something else and
Yeah,
whatever.
that they're supposed to be something else. And I feel like this movie, which I thought was gonna have the the pill being the applesauce, and it did have some of those things, eh, but I feel like it made things what they were. Like the KKK was the KKK.
Right.
There was and I liked I like that because I feel like a lot of the times they'll take these things and the things will be really surface level, like basic racism, that pill should be just swallowed. But I
Right.
feel like the shit that he put in the applesauce was very, like, I was finding out a lot of history behind these things and I was going, oh,
Right.
like
Right.
Daddy Kugler did the research. Like I was like, oh, okay,
Yes.
what's going on?
That's one
Um,
takeaway I had too.
like he did his research. He did his big one. But anyways, going back to the thing, then it cuts to it does the thing with Sammy. Then it goes back into the beginning of the thing. We're introduced to Smoke and Stack, two
Hmm.
twins, and they're known as the
They're
Smoke Sons.
cousins.
They're cousins, and they're buying a juke joint from this white man, and this white man is selling it to them. They sell the shit, and then they're trying to open up this whole thing. They had just recently came back from Chicago where they were in the mob with Al Capone. Now this is where a history lesson comes in that I found out by looking at one of those
Hmm.
articles I was telling you about. So this is where I think how they got that money. So I think that, like, I guess something with the way that they dressed. Smoke, I might get it mixed up, but Smoke
Yeah, it's hard.
dressed more traditionally like an Italian would be dressing, and
I
Stack
didn't know
dressed
that.
more traditionally like an Irishman with the way that their suits were and the way that their hats were. Now, I found out, what are you going to say? It seems like
Yeah, I
you,
was gonna say so. Stack is the one who goes to or who shoots the two men in the knee. All right, that was Stack, or that's yeah,
that was Smoke.
that was Smoke. Okay, so you're saying Smoke was the traditional Italian?
Yes.
Okay, and then the other one was okay. I see.
Yes.
I was just trying to clarify.
And basically what happened was, is there, have you heard of the Valentine's Day massacre?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I didn't either. But I guess there was this, so I guess Italians and Irish people had big beef, right?
Okay.
And they had big beef back in Chicago. There was this really huge thing where Al Capone and was like had this plan to take out, I can't remember his name, but his last name was Morgan. And there was all these deaths that happened. They call it the Valentine's Day massacre. I guess what you're supposed to assume is that Smoke infiltrated like Al Capone's gang. Stack infiltrated the Irishman's gang. That's why they had those
Oh,
traditional dresses, made their plan to be able to steal the money from them. And during
that
the
makes
Valentine's Day
sense.
massacre, that's where they got their money.
That's why he has the Irish beer
Yes,
for
exactly.
Delta Slim.
Yes,
Interesting.
because he was on with the Irishmen. So they were both co-conspirating against
Right.
their people. Um, and then and so, like, little touches like that, like that's the pill and the medicine that I want. Like I want a
Right.
deeper
Right.
thing that I don't
And
understand.
and you can also feel there's a sense of like unknowing, like they did something crazy back in the Chicago, and like why are they here? You know what I'm saying? Like what are they doing
Mhm.
here? And they're obviously running from something, or like in it almost felt like time was running out, or like
Mhm.
they were like fleeing something or whatever. I feel like there was that sense of that. So now that makes a lot more sense that you say that it could have been a earlier storyline
Mm.
that we just didn't see.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that is very interesting, iconic. So I believe that that's how they got their money or whatever to then pay
Right.
that man. So they open their thing. Then they pick up Sammy from the church and then they
Right.
then go and they're like, okay, we're going to have this thing. We're going to split up. Smoke, you go downtown, get Bo and all of that shit. Stack, you go up and pick up the talent. Um, and then they split up. Then after they split up, that's when all of a sudden Remick appears. Um,
So wait. So do you want to talk about the um specifically like the representation of Chinese people in it right now, or do you want, or like, and like the Native American? Are we just going through the plot? Like, what do you want to talk about?
okay, you can talk about the Chinese people.
Okay. So what I found out was that at the time, I actually don't know why I'm getting like conflicting things or whatever, but at the time in the antebellum South,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not the authority education. I'm not a textbook guy. I'm also a learner as well. So if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong. But a lot of people, I don't know if you've seen a lot of Hispanic discourse of like, why isn't there any Hispanic people in the movie, or
Yeah.
Latino people, right? And people were saying that it just wouldn't have made sense. And also, this is, you know, whatever. Like, can black people have one thing just a little bit? But whatever. So the reason why specifically um, Chinese people were depicted is because there was a certain period of time where there were Chinese immigrants who I think that at one point they were indentured servitude. They were in a part of indentured servitude, and they came to the United States, and they actually worked for obviously little, but they worked for money, and they were
Mm-hmm.
able to like pay themselves free. They would make a little bit of money, then they would pay to be free. Obviously, that's what indentured servitude is. And then what would happen is they would be the only people, the Chinese people in the South would be the only people who were able to bridge the gap between black people and white people. So the
Mm-hmm.
reason why you see the daughter, and his name was Bo, right? The
Yeah, Bo.
Bo,
And
yeah. So the reason why you can see they're basically owning both stores across the street is because one was a whites only store and one was a black only store.
mm-hmm.
So they would literally he sends his daughter over there to the white
I didn't
store to
realize
get.
that that was there was whites only and blacks only. I didn't realize that.
Right. So that's, it was supposed to be like specifically they were chosen. I mean, Asian people at the time that were here were the only people that were able to bridge the gap, and so they were able to make their own stores once they bought their freedom, and they would sell to black people and white people. Which this also opens up a whole another can of worms about like the role of what was her name, Grace, right? Grace was the
Yes,
Asian woman.
Grace.
She like the role of Asian people in the film and also Asian people now. Like we're trying to like tie it back into obviously like race and things in our day in the model minority myth and all those things, like all of those things, right? But yeah, so basically just on this thing while we're here, the reason why they were going back and forth is because they owned both of those stores, and
Mm-hmm.
they would do things for both communities, and they benefited from both white people and black people shopping at their stores in the South, and specifically they have Southern accents. This is not,
Yeah.
they weren't speaking any kind of accent from anywhere else but the South. They were one in tune with the black community there because they were just Southern. That's just how it
Mm.
was. But anyways, continue. So we see
Um,
Remick.
yes, we see Remick come down, burnt up, and then he knocks on these people's door. Now, I think another thing that I thought was very interesting is to me is that I feel like all the characters were very nuanced, and they had like I could understand the roles and the methods of each character, which I
Mm-hmm.
feel like, and I could kind of understand. And this is where my personal interpretation of things comes into play.
Right.
So, because I thought Remick was a very interesting character where he, I'm trying to think if I want to say this now or later, but basically, so he comes out, he goes into the thing, he knocks on these people's doors. He's like, please let me in, let me in. They're a little shy or whatever at first. He notices that they got those KKK ropes in the back.
Right. Yes. Clock it.
Right. He notices that they got
You
KKK
say
ropes
clock
in the
it.
background. And then he's like, you know, them Indians, they were chasing me.
Right.
Um, and then they were like, "Oh, really? Get in here! Come on, hurry up and get in here!" Right? And then the Native Americans then come and they knock on the door and they're like, "Yeah, you let something in your house you wasn't supposed to let in your house, Mama." She
Right.
said, "I don't give a fuck." She said, "I really don't care." And then she pulls out a little blicky And then the Native American guy was like, looks behind, he sees the KKK ropes. He's like, listen, Queen,
Mama.
I'm warning you. Listen, I'm warning you. I'm letting you know. There's something that you shouldn't let in your house. You can let me in, and I can help you. You can do what you want to do.
Right.
She said, get
We
off my property.
right.
Um,
So he basically knows, and this is where I want to bring in like I seen a video of somebody talking about Ryan Coogler and his purpose, because kind of what you just said in the beginning of like um making all the characters have multiple different facets. You can tell that it's not just a one-sided kind of like, I guess we've all been talking about this whole time, like the pill and the applesauce. He wanted it to be more of a messiness. It wasn't just like, oh, these people are white and they're racist and they hate black people, and these people are black and blah 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 blah. It wasn't that. It was more
mhm.
nuance. And so a piece of the nuance of Remick is that he, when he originally goes there, he refers to the Native Americans as their traditional. I don't know or he refers to them as like a non-derogatory term. I don't remember what he specifically
Yeah,
says. I think they're specifically called the Choctaw people.
yeah.
Um, and so he says that or whatever, or he doesn't say that, or he says something. I don't know what it is. But the moment he notices the robes, he
Hmm.
then like almost wants to his goal is to get people to obviously be vampires on his side, right? And so he'll do it at any cost. And the way he does it is not to be scary, it's to be welcoming. It's to be, I'm one of you. It's to be like, you can trust me. It's more of, he takes more of a submissive role. So he literally morphs into being, trying to be racist with them so that he can get them on his side rather
Hmm.
than, being because he doesn't go into it trying to speak ill of any Native American people at all, but he just knows the way to get to their heart is to be one with them. And those
Yeah.
white people ate it up. They ate it up
Did
immediately.
really eat it up immediately, which is
Immediately.
crazy. Um,
And then sorry, also the lastly the actual Choctaw people, that's a real thing too. Like they were actually in the Mississippi and another Alabama. I think I saw Alabama, Mississippi at this time. So, but they said about 100 years prior that this story takes place, they had a whole like a massacre. Like everybody had to
oh,
go. They had a whole like they wiped out all the Native American population in Mississippi and Alabama, and they
hmm,
had to flee. So like at this point, these are kind of like the stragglers of like people
yeah.
still around, and that's why they said they were quick to go. It was like, you want help or you don't want help, because they already know they've experienced it for 100 years. They know what these people are like, these white people.
Hmm.
So they're like, okay, well, it is what you can take our help or you don't, or you don't have to, or whatever. So that's why they're quick to leave after. Anyway, sorry, I have a lot of background information.
No, that's
You can
okay.
go.
Please interject when you need to. But and then another thing. See, this is also my interpretation too, because I saw somebody be like, "Well, this is also a person being like, why weren't like 'cause Latino people in the movie?" And then I saw
Right?
somebody
Yeah.
else be like, "Well, I also want to see like more of the Native American story." But the way that I interpreted it was, I actually thought that was perfect because I think one, they didn't need to offer any help at all if they or not, like
Right.
the fact that they were still offering these people who were obviously racist, even if they weren't KKK, they were still colonizers on their land,
Right. Right. Right.
uh, and still offering them help. And then they said no, and then they said, okay, well, we're gonna go on our way.
Right.
There was no
Have fun.
like I love that there was no like, we're back and listen, this is actually what the vampires are like. How they're that, I feel like that's a very
Right.
classic trope in the thing. They were gone and they went home, and
Right.
we
We don't
never
have to
seen them
help
again.
you.
Exactly. We tried, we didn't. And I think that the fact that all this really starts with white people not listening to Native American people and inciting with their own, because that's really how this whole thing started. If they would
Right.
just listen, the
Right.
movie would have been over, you know? And I feel like that's
Literally.
very interesting, to me. And then Remick goes in, turns the man, then turns the woman. Then it goes back to when with the Asians where smoke is. What?
So I have a question, because I'm a little, just for clarification. So I'm under the assumption that when Remick goes to this house, the man in that house is actually the son of the guy who sells the slaughterhouse
Yes.
to smoke and stack. Okay, I
Mhm.
just didn't know, because I think I remember hearing that in the movie, but I didn't know if that was
No,
true
no,
or
no,
not.
no, not the son. I believe that it was the girl's uncle. It was
Oh,
the
okay,
girl's
okay. So, but they
uncle.
were related in some way to the
Yes, they were
KKK like
related.
people that sold the shack or
Mhm.
whatever. Okay.
Then it cuts to Smoke, and he's getting Bo and Grace to build the sign and everything, and doing all of that.
Right, right.
And then it cuts to
S-
Stack.
So so I don't know, sorry, when to interject about this, but I got basically saw a whole bunch of TikToks before this because I was wanting to see what other people's thoughts were, and I came across this guy talking about how the seven deadly sins are characters in this movie, um, and the reason why I brought it up right now is because I feel like I have something to say about Stack. So like specifically, I guess I'll just go through once we like bring up the characters, but I'll just specifically bring up Stacks, and this was just his interpretation of it, and I wanted to share it. Stack is supposed to be representing greed, so he's all about money. At any point in time, he's always caring about money. Money. How much are we going to make at the juke joint? He
You mean
specifically
Smoke?
or is it Smoke?
Well, in my head, Smoke was the one who was more caring about money.
So wait. Was Smoke the one? Smoke. Oh my God, they're both the same person, so I'm like confused. The one who shot the two people,
Smoke.
that was Smoke.
Yes.
Okay, well, in this video that I watched, the guy said that Stack was the one who did that. So I
No,
guess whatever.
Stack Smoke was the one who cared about the. Well, now you have me thinking I'm wrong, but now I feel like I'm
I don't
not.
know. I just saw this video, whatever. Anyways, they're obviously are the same person, but you guys understand what I'm saying. Whoever person who shot the guy in the knee, he's supposed to be representing greed, because you notice how when he gets that girl to come and watch, he was like, okay, watch, I'm gonna pay you to honk the horn or whatever and scream if somebody like tries to steal from me, and he teaches her how to barter. He teaches her how to
Mhm.
get more money, and so that he was basically saying like the theme was, but wasn't he also the one who wasn't like, he was like he didn't want to take the wooden coins at the
Yes, that
the
was
juke joint.
Smoke. Hmm.
Right. So then it was Smoke. Maybe I just have it mixed up in my thing. So that's his underlying thing. If we're going to continue the theme of the seven deadly sins, Smokes is greed. But I'll bring them up as we go on.
Okay.
But I thought that was very interesting that he found those like things in the film and different characters.
Yeah,
But
because he was
anyways,
always about
right,
money. That is very interesting. And I also one thing about with the thing with the girl, I kind of also interpreted that as like the fact that he had lost his daughter, and I feel like that's something that was
mm,
very like paternal. Like you need to. This is me teaching this girl because Smoke was a very hard
right,
person
right.
out of the two brothers. Like he was a very serious. I'm a soldier. I'm this very hard person. But then you see him have this moment with this little girl where he has shows that almost seems like something that would happen with Stack, but it happened with Smoke, where he's very vulnerable, and I feel like that had something to do with the fact that he had lost his daughter. But anyways, then
Right. I didn't make that connection, but yeah, that makes
um,
sense.
he goes with the thing. Then it cuts to Stack, who's now trying to recruit Delta Slim to come to the juke joint
Right.
for $20. And he's talking to him, and then that's when Mary's introduced because Sammy's going like that. What ladies feel
Right.
you? Do you have any of the
I
seven?
do. I do.
Okay.
So, and I told you I'm all over the place. So I'm just trying to remember what I have. So, what was interesting about this is that I heard that train station, so they would actually have that train was a real train called the Pullman train. So back during the time, there was a luxury train that would actually go from Mississippi to Chicago, this is very interesting because I've always peeped that, like, and my mom specifically, I feel like people in Chicago have southern accents. Like, it's like definitely Midwest, but they have like a little bit of a southern twang. And the reason why is because a lot of times, or at the time rather, there was a lot of trains and buses going from the south to Chicago. They would literally just, that was like the first stop that you would go is to Chicago. And so this created a wealthier middle class of black men because they would hire them to run the trains. And so it says the train was a popular train that brought people from the south to Chicago. Like I said, it was a luxury train. And then me reading it as I'm saying it. Yeah, I guess that was the only thing. It was like me like doing the parallel of like real life into the movie, because that train station like basically represents that there were black people coming from the south and going to the north, going to Chicago, and also they're from Chicago, so like they're
Yeah.
on that train, and like
Well, they're
they
from there. They went to
right,
Chicago.
right. Right, that's what I meant. But either way, that's the train connecting the Chicago and the South, and that was a real train that often did these routes. And then I also connected it to, like I said, to me thinking that Chicagoans have a Southern accent because a lot of people from the
We're
South
going back and
went to
forth.
Chicago, which is why there's such a black population in Chicago.
Okay, see, now I think this like kind of, there was a lot of history because
There was a lot of
I
history.
didn't know the train thing. Oh my god, and you guys hate it. You guys are going, okay, we don't we
We
don't
really
care
don't
about
give a fuck.
the train. We don't care about the
But I think that's
Valentine's Day.
interesting.
I think that's really interesting too. Like I like when there was a lot of actual. Oh yeah, this one thing I was gonna say. Going back to the Asians, I heard that on the movie they actually worked with like Southern Asians to try and create a realistic story for them as well. I heard about that.
Yes. So, well, I told you that was a real thing. That they own stores in the South.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a clip, and it was just so interesting. Obviously, that this Asian woman just looks Asian, and she's just speaking in the most Southern
Yeah.
twang I have ever heard. And I'm like, that is so crazy. And everyone in the comments was also saying that too, because you rarely see that. You don't really see that
Mm-hmm.
often. But and that's why. And then somebody in the comments was like, you guys do know that accents are tied to like nationality and like location rather than ethnicity. You're not born with an Asian accent, which
What the?
makes total sense, obviously. But it's just like you don't normally see,
Yeah.
any Chinese person or whatever having a Southern accent. So,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, it was thick.
It
She
was
might as well have
very.
been Betty Crocker.
She said, "Dad."
Is
The
Betty
little
Crocker
girl
have a
said, "Daddy,
See
daddy."
to say daddy. And that, and we obviously know what happened with Grace and everything, but yeah, I just think that there is so much history to peel back the layers of, and I'm sure we're even missing more, but like there's so much history in this movie, and that's why it's so good. And I think I had less, or I have way more of an appreciation now that I've seen all of the people's takes on it and in the history behind it, because I love
Mm-hmm.
doing a little history lesson. I love when I
Yeah.
see a thing and I don't get it at first, but then I have to dig in to kind of feel out what the person was trying to intend to the
Mm-hmm.
audience, and I think that that's what this movie did.
Yeah, and I think that is very iconic. Mary then comes off of, I think she came off the train.
Hmm.
And then that's when she also, well, did you have any of these people being like one of the,
With the seven deadly sins, I
yeah.
think that
Do you not want to talk about
Mary. So I don't think that Mary was on there on my seven deadly sins things. Um, I think that I don't have much about Mary at all, but I know there's something I'm missing, because obviously she's supposed to represent like the melding between the two worlds. Like
it?
she's half black, supposed to be half black and half. But Haley Stein, she's not really mixed,
Listen,
is
listen,
she?
listen, 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 listen. She's not half black. This to
In the
me,
movie? Or are you saying in
she's
real
not
life?
half black in the movie or in real life. That's not what she
Okay.
is. What it is to me that was supposed to. What are they called? They're called something, like you know how the phrase was like mulatto. That would be somebody.
Right. But how
But
did she
they're
become
called.
mulatto if she's not half
She's
black?
not mulatto. She's not mulatto. But they're
Oh,
called
oh, oh.
something like an octamoon, an octoroon. That's I swear. Those they're
I've never
called
heard
something
that.
like that. And I think that this is supposed to represent like back then, like this, like if you had an ounce of black in you, you're black. Like to slave owners, to masters, to things like that.
Right, right.
And I think it's called like it was like a one drop rule. So you have one
Right, yeah,
drop
yeah,
of
the one
black
drop
in
rule.
you, you're
You're
black.
black.
She was 1/8. Her grandfather was half black, so she's 1/8 black, and I think that's why it's called an
Uh
octoroon. I don't know.
Oct. I
Oct.
see. Yes,
Um,
I see, I
but
see.
I think that's a
So,
negative word though, so don't repeat that.
oh, you're having me saying slurs on here. Um, but no, I see, I get it. So then she obviously is supposed to be that like bridging the gap because she's white passing,
Mhm.
regardless, even though she's an aquamarine. I don't know
Yeah,
if she
she's
is.
Aquamarine.
Whatever. She's not supposed to be bridging that gap between the black world and the white world or whatever, and that's why
Mhm.
she goes out and obviously is the first person to speak to Remick in a
Yeah,
real
well,
way.
don't get there yet because I have some to say.
I know, but that's why I'm not gonna say anything. But yeah, so I don't have anything on like her being like any of the seven deadly sins. But
Yeah,
anyways, continue.
so she's supposed to be an octoroon, and she's just 1/8 black, which is Haley Steinfeld is also 1/8 black as well.
Hmm.
Um, and the thing was that she and Stack used to fool around, mess around, but Stack almost gave her. And I also was very not confused, but like didn't really know how to really interpret her character either, because to me it was kind of signifying, like I said, that one drop rule where it felt like all of the black community accepted her completely,
Right.
because of that 1/8. But then I believe that Stack was like, she can live a white life, so I'm gonna let her go so she can live a white life because she
Right.
had a
Because
white husband.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like basically saying like, why would you want to live this life when you can
Mm-hmm.
be free and live a white life? Is what he's
Yeah,
saying.
is what I think she was saying. Is what I think he was saying. which is part of the reason why they weren't together anymore. So she had this white, she was married, she had a white husband, and everything like that. And
Hmm.
then Stack's not really messing with her at the time. Move on. We get into Delta Slim, the older man, who played
Now,
Ryan.
yeah, so Delta Slim does have a greedy slim. I mean, a sin attached to him.
Okay.
He's supposed to be gluttony, obviously. So he
Okay.
like,
Because drinking.
yeah, really just all drinking all the time. Like literally, he would have rather have performed at the bar he was always performing at because it was money today, money tomorrow, money the next day. But the moment he says, "I got some Irish beer for you," he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm sign me up,"
Hmm.
immediately. And so his whole thing is like always like consuming more and more and more and more
Hmm.
of just alcohol. Now, again, this what the guy was saying, he was like, this is not like to a T. This is my interpretation of it, is what he said. And so I'm just like basically sharing you what his thoughts are. Not everything is ironclad. It's like, oh well, this is obviously what Ryan Coogler meant when he did this or whatever. So that's just what his interpretation was that Delta Slim was gluttony because of the alcohol. But
Yeah.
I'll cross that off.
Um, and see, I actually thought Delta Slim very oddly tied the movie together for me in a lot of themes, because
Okay.
I think that this is when I started to like, at this point in time, when I was watching the movie around this time, a little bit after, is when I was like, okay, let me really lock in because now I'm very interested. So he was an alcoholic, he was a drinker, but
Right.
we realized that the reason why this really happened, because they're on their way to the juke joint at this point. They pass by the chain gang people. He
That
yells
was a
out,
big
I don't
thing.
know what he yelled out. And then they're like, what was that about? And then he like explains what had happened. And I thought that this was very interesting to me because I feel like I'd never seen where they had like the way that that scene was like portrayed, like the cinematography of it, where he's explaining what happened. You're looking just at his face, and they could have just cut to what had happened with him talking about it. They didn't do that. It was him explaining the thing that was happening, but you're hearing it. You're hearing the rope going.
Right, right, right,
You're hearing the chains. You're hearing the castration of this black man. You're hearing all
right,
of these things, but you're seeing all this trauma on his face, and
right.
you're seeing all of that. And then immediately after that, which I found out that this scene was kind of
Improv.
improvised. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
I saw.
where he like starts slapping his knee. And he like starts humming a little bit and going into a song, and Sammy gets into it too. And this is where I was like, okay, this is interesting, because the way that he was processing this trauma was by drinking, and then also by kind of making this trauma thing into not lightheartedness, but healing himself from this trauma that he was just thinking about, where he could see it in his head and also hear the things that were happening, and now turning
Right.
it into song. And now I want everybody to remember that, because when we go back to the beginning, the pastor, Sammy's father, is like, no, no, no. You need to stop with this music shit. You can't go there. This is
Right.
evil. It's the devil. The only way you need to sing is in here, which is something that I think that we see a lot in real life.
Right.
Where people who will go to
Music's
this
supposed to be the gateway to the world.
exactly.
Right.
And you go into the secular realm of things is when things are evil and bad and all of that. And you're supposed to be singing in the church. And speaking of the color purple, like, I can't remember what that person's name was. Do you remember where like the person who was like the, was, do you know what I'm talking about? It was basically the same thing. There was a thing in the color purple where they were like, no, don't do this other
Sealy?
music.
I don't know what person you're talking about.
Don't do this music, do that music. And then she came in, or they came in, and then they were singing, and then the pastor was like, yes, but then that was just to show that she still hadn't lost God. What is that?
I don't know.
I haven't
You're
seen
gonna.
it.
I don't know.
I never saw the new one,
They
but
know. They know.
okay,
I
but
can't
that
remember.
reminded me of that. and
Uh huh.
and then this was like a moment where we see music that wasn't tied to church, but was tied in a way where it was something good. It was something that took him out of the trauma that he just was thinking about,
Right.
and turned
Right.
into this now lighthearted
I
moment
see the
between him
juxtaposition.
and
Yeah.
you know. And I thought this is very interesting to me. Um, and then I also think that that was very that moment was very interesting to Sammy's character. And remember that moment in Sammy's character too. Then
Right. So I want to say something about this, about the improv part, because I probably saw the same interview thing that when he was talking or whatever,
Mhm.
and I remember him saying that he kind of threw Sammy under the bus. I don't know what his real name is, but he was like,
Miles Canton. Canton, I think he's
oh well,
Miles.
he was like, well, Miles. He said Miles is a young actor. He didn't know what was going on. He's like, wait, is this in the script? Because he was like, he started humming, and then like Michael B. Jordan just caught on right away, and that's why he was like, that's why he literally like looks back at him. He's like, you got that guitar, don't you, or whatever. And I think it's so fascinating how like actors can really just dig into a role and they become that person. Like,
Yeah.
and I always think like, I would be like Miles, and I'd be sitting there going, "Girl, this is not in the script. What was I supposed to do next?" But the fact that like they felt their character so much, and they're like, I got obviously Michael B. Jordan. I forgot what the other guy's name is, but they're seasoned actors,
Delroy
right?
Lindo.
Delroy. Okay, so they're seasoned actors, right? And so they're digging into their characters, and they're feeling like, what would happen next in this scene? What do I think that my character would do? And then he just went for it. I would have secondhand embarrassment. What if Ryan Coogler said, cut, what is you doing? You know how fast I would have been off the set. Um,
Immediately.
and you know they had to. I heard they had to keep on driving around. Like they had to like do a like because they had to keep on doing something like that they weren't supposed to do because the scene was supposed to have already been over by the time they got to X mark or whatever. But they continued because they were improving. And I just think that I also do like you said. I like the fact that they didn't show any of it. They could have, but they wanted to see. They wanted to, I think they were there. It was kind of showing three generations. It was the younger black boy in the back. We have Michael B. Jordan, and then obviously Delroy. I can't
Yeah,
remember his name again.
Delroy.
You have them or Delta Slim, I guess. And he's talking about this, and it's like showing the history, and you just see the look on Sammy's face of like the realities of Delta Slim's life and you know what's to come, I guess. But yeah, that was definitely very interesting that I found out it was improv. But continue.
Yeah, that was very interesting. And I think we'll give the actors their flowers because I have certain things to say about the actors too.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, they go to the juke joint. It's the nighttime. Well, but then they go to the juke joint. Smoke goes and puts flowers on his baby's grave, and then he goes and talks to Annie, who is like giving out a little mojo back to a little girl. And I think Annie ate. Annie, and I think that also because I saw people saying, I saw a TikTok and this girl was going, I thought that was Michael B. Jordan and Mama, and then they started freaking on each other, which I think is really rude.
Okay, so I have something to say about that.
What?
I was going to say that back during this time, first of all, we don't see any representation ever, even now, ever, of any plus size black woman with 4C hair being a love interest, ever. Literally, that never happens. So I was shocked too because like we don't see that ever, and I think that saying his mom was a little bit crazy, just a tinge crazy, just a little bit crazy, and rude. But like, I think what's interesting is that you do see, plus size black women being more of like matriarchal or like that instead of a love interest. And I loved that they did have that piece of it because we need more representation. But I saw a video of somebody saying back in 1932 Mississippi, she would have been that girl. Like she would have been that a love interest that was common for people. Like that was a woman that was heavily represented in the South, right? And so to see that on camera translated that we don't often see, it's really nice to actually have like a place for her. Instead of somebody being just like a matriarch or whatever. Like, not that she couldn't have been a matriarch as well, but you understand what I'm saying? Like, not just like a wisdom character or whatever it is, right? A mother character.
Yeah, and I think he was actually eating my double digit sister. Shout out to the double digit sisters in the chat. The two sums that can do some. The size 12s, the 16s, the 14s, the 15s, the 32s. This is for you guys. Shout out. Sound off in the chat if you're two something and you can do something. My double digit queen.
He said to something that could do something.
But because I think that she was really the savior of this movie.
Right. She had
knowledge.
Right. I feel like she did have lot of underlying importance in the plot of it and what
Mhm.
happened, and I'll get to some of that later. But yeah, I definitely think that her role played she also, but I guess she kind of was a wisdom character. She was talking about how like the about the ancestors. She knew what she was talking about. She knew
Yeah.
about the history. She had a long history with Smoke and Stack, obviously, and she knew of like whatever they were calling
The
them, the people who
roots.
were the
Well,
what
at first, well, she was a root weaver, but she knew about
Rube.
she knew about the shit too. Like at
Right.
first, she thought that they were Hants. I can't remember what it was. That's what she thought.
Honks.
It was something with an H. She thought that the
Yeah,
vampire
yeah.
that, but then she immediately like.
I forgot.
And I like how it wasn't like usually in the thing they go, wait, I need to pull out my book. My sis knew. She knew what they
She
were.
knew
She said,
immediately.
okay, so we need turmeric, we need garlic, we need a little bit of holy water. We need
Oh,
this, we need a
can we
wood
talk about the
stake.
Galaxy scene, or do we have to wait?
We have to wait. We have to wait.
Oh
Um,
my god, I have something to say.
but then they so then yeah, she meets up. I mean, Smoke meets up with Annie. They're talking about like he's going this mojo shit. Like I don't believe it. He's like, I guess I still wear it or whatever. She's like, give it to me. Like let me redo it for you.
Mhm.
And he's like, why didn't this save our baby? She's like, okay, well I don't know. Sorry. Then he puts it on her. He puts it on her.
Can you
In the
stop?
store. She's going.
And I was sitting next to my parents, going,
I was sitting
"Hey,
next
how
to
you doing?"
nobody going with a hand in my pants.
Oh no! You
If I was at home, I
cannot.
would have. If I was at home, I would have rewinded a couple scenes during the movie.
You're
Just a
going to
couple.
jail.
Because
Um,
when we get to Haley Steinfeld, when she was that was 1/8 black of what she was doing. That was the 1/8. That was the one drop rule when she was putting it on a stack in
can
that
you
little cupboard.
stop? And she
Um,
was drooling.
yeah, she's did a little dribble into his mouth. But I don't know that the girl should have brought their rose. I should have had my stroker. That's what they should have put in the thing. And there was a lot going on. There was a lot going
This
on.
is a
Did
rated
you?
R.
Because they were talking. No, that was a rated R movie. Because they were talking about some.
It
Every
was.
other scene, they were talking about some eating some.
They were. They said there was a lot of cunnilingus in this.
They were talking about a lot of cunnilingus. And I said, okay, what's going on? Like, I should have gotten a memo in the fine print. Bring a toy. I didn't get the thing. Girls, bring your rose.
You're you're actually gonna go in jail for like recommending people to bring their
Girls,
toys.
bring your rose. That's what they should have said. But anyways, but then, yeah. So then they do that. Then it cuts to I think them all at the juke joint now.
Mhm.
Everybody there. Oh, they also Stack and Dr. Slim and Sammy go and pick up cornbread from the fields or whatever. Tells him to cook.
Right, right, right. And they
Um,
were, and his wife wanted him to make that money. She said, "You better go."
that is what she said. Oh, I forgot about that. Now he's yeah. So,
Oh,
because he's dead, and
right.
like
I
she
know.
told him to go. But so then they cut to the juke joint, and then they're having like
So, so
the
let's just pause right here because I have to. I'm gonna just quickly get out of the way the smoke and stack or the seven deadly sins thing again. So again, I don't remember which one's which, but whatever. We know the greed one, with the greed like I was talking about, and then the other one, which is Stack, I think, is the Wrath one because he's the one who killed the KKK members right at the end. Oh, I'm jumping to
no.
the end.
You're jumping to the end, but Smoke was the one who killed the KKK members. You were
That's
watching somebody
why.
who didn't know what's going on.
No, I flipped them already. So I had Stack being. So wait. So Smoke is the one. So Smoke is the one in the beginning who kills the two people, and he's
Doesn't
also the one
kill.
who does the. Sorry, shoots there in their leg, and then he also is the one who does it at the end.
Yes.
With the kick. Okay, that's my. I don't know. Maybe this guy was wrong. I don't know, but I just had it written down wrong. So then that doesn't make sense because he said that those were two different people doing those actions.
Okay, well they
So
weren't.
I hope you're 100% correct because I don't know. I'm taking off
I'm
this guy's thing.
correct, but you're making me seem like you're gaslighting me, and I need to.
He said that those are two different people doing two different things. That there was
He's
one that
100.
those are the same person.
Yes. Hold on. Smoke.
Because the point is that he's saying that Smoke is supposed to be Wrath because he's the one who does the he stays behind after, but he could just went with Sammy, but he doesn't. He stays behind to do what he does to the members, and that Stack is the greed one because he's the one who did it in the beginning with the whatever.
The
And I
girl?
don't know. Now I'm thinking
No, that
because
was Smoke.
the smoke with the girl was with the girl.
Smoke was with the girl, and he was one at the end.
Oh well, I don't know. Whatever. Maybe
And
no
you
one
were
said it in the
watching
comments either.
somebody who watched Linners. They weren't watching
He said
Sinners
they were
because what is going on? So the guy
Whatever.
was saying that. Are you are you sure that he was saying? I don't know. Now I'm confused.
I don't even want to say that I have the authority because I don't remember enough. They were just, it was obviously the same character, and then they were dressed not similarly, but like I don't know. But then but what you're saying, which is interesting, is that I know in my mind I'm thinking the guy who does, you know, at the end who does kill the KKK members, he is not wearing what the guy who shot the people in the knee was wearing.
Is it? I don't know. I'm okay. Well, I know for a fact that the guy who shot those people, is he not the same guy? Now I'm confused. I can't tell if I'm wrong or if I'm right. But to my
it's
head,
hard because they're the same person.
They are
it's
the
same person.
And
they don't look.
I know
different.
for a fact. Okay, am I getting confused on who Smoke is? Is Smoke not the Smoke is
the one?
Oh my
okay,
God, everybody hates us because we're
we're supposed to know. Okay, so who was with Mary?
I thought that was Stack.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. No, Malik. You. There's no way Smoke was the one who shot the. It had to have been Stack who shot the people in the knee.
But
he's wearing
Smoke is the one who.
thing.
But Smoke is the one who told the girl the thing.
What girl?
Told the girl how to negotiate.
But that's why I think it was Stack. But I don't know if that's true. Because, okay, all I'm saying is that the guy who shoots the people in the knee is the same one who has the relationship with Mary.
But.
And that is not Smoke. I don't think.
Oh my God. And it's so much because, like, if I look up Smoke,
right,
it's Michael B. Jordan. If I look up Stack Sinners, it's Michael B. Jordan. Oh my God. You're making me scared.
But the guy with the overalls. And then Smoke was the one with Annie.
Oh no. Okay, Stack was with Mary, Smoke was with Annie.
Right. But
I thought Smoke was the one who had the scene with the little girl.
I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter at the end of the day. Either way, they didn't both, but they didn't both do. You were saying that Smoke did both the little girl and the KKK at the end. I don't think he did.
I thought he did do the little girl. Because I remember being like, oh, that's probably why he was nice to that little girl. Because
but he wasn't dressed. He was dressed like the Irishman or whatever. He had the top hat, the suit, and everything. Smoke was more with the overalls and the, you know, whatever kind of vibe at the end. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Guys, y'all help us out. Whatever. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Either way, let me just cross this out. We can't figure it out. Somebody let us know.
Oh my God, and they're pissed.
They're not pissed.
I am too. I just need to see if this is I just want to know very quickly if this is the slim car scene.
And again, I have no idea. I just know that I'm separating myself from this.
This is embarrassing. No, you can't separate yourself.
Really that embarrassing.
You can't separate yourself because you're the one who told me that.
But I'm telling you, I'm saying from a video that I watched. I don't remember whether or not, but I'm thinking in my head what the guy was saying was right, and also none of the comments said anything about him being wrong about that. And it's like a video that did pretty well. I would assume they'd be like, you're wrong. Like that was the same person, but that would just not make sense to me if the person. Because his whole point was that Stack was the greedy one with the girl, and he was telling her how to barter and do the money. And then Smoke was the one with the vengeance, and he had the wrath, which is the seven deadly sin that he had. And he literally purposely stayed to the end to do that with him. And then he's also the one that was with Annie, and he wanted to go with his daughter and his.
So Stack was the one who told the girl to watch the car.
That's what I'm under the impression of. And that he shot them with the guy in the knee. And he's also the one that ends up at the train station. No. Because
how is he doing all that?
Wait. How would he have been?
And Sammy wasn't there.
Now this is embarrassing. Because Sammy wasn't there. Sammy would have been with Smoke. Right?
No, Sammy would have been with Stack.
I don't know. Listen, everybody, y'all saw the movie yourselves. Whatever.
Okay, in my
Now we're
head,
getting to
this
the point
is
where they're going to move on.
they are going to move on, but now I'm embarrassed because in my head I thought it was because it made sense to me because Smoke asked the girl to watch this thing, and I remember thinking he probably did that because he lost a little baby, and he's been hard the whole movie. And why would he need? He could have asked Sammy to watch the car. If Stack was the one who did that, couldn't you just ask Sammy to watch the car?
But no, well, obviously, I'm confused because he wasn't with him. The guy whoever shot the guy in the knee wasn't with Sammy.
Exactly, and that was Smoke.
Well, I don't know if Stack was the one. Okay, whatever. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
But I don't know because now I don't think I am right. Because you said that you watched you watched a highly accredited video that had 1 million views and nobody said that.
All I'm going to say is that he said that Smoke and Stack have two different of the 7 deadly sins. One of them is greed and one of them is wrath. And his explanation for each one was that the one with the greed was the one who did the bartering and all cared about money all the time, and the other one had the wrath because of the KKK. So he's saying that those two people did two separate things in the movie, and they had two different direct lineages. I mean, direct, like, distinct personality traits. And I assume that those people were different people, but you're saying those are the same person. The person at the end who killed the KKK members is also the same as the person who did the shot them in the knee and did the bartering. And I don't know if that's true. So that's all I'm going to say. Next caller.
I think that Smoke was the one who did the bartering. And then I think that Smoke was the one who killed the KKK.
Okay, maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe that's true.
And
I don't
Smoke, but now you might.
I don't know. It's just this person said that, and no one else said anything about it. But maybe you're right. It's hard because they're the same person. And it's like, and we saw it a week ago. We didn't see it last night.
We didn't see it last night.
It's been some time.
We're gonna move on, even though I really don't like that this is happening. But guys are gonna. I'm sure you guys are gonna let us know in the comments, and somebody's gonna be embarrassed. And I hope that it's not me. I hope it's not me. But now I just feel like you said you have 1 million people on your side, and I don't.
I'm just saying. Whatever. The point is that at the end of the day, let's just talk about whoever it is that has the wrath of the cousins. He was talking about. I'm assuming that's the same person who didn't want the wooden nickels, right? The wooden nickels at the juke joint.
Yeah, but I thought that was Smoke.
Okay, well, either way, we're not debating on who it is because I don't know. But whatever, let's just say that it is Smoke.
Okay.
The reason why this is a part of his, this is a little more history, right? So back during that time, apparently, this was a real thing. Wooden nickels were a real thing.
Yeah.
And they would get these wooden nickels because a lot of times when they were, I think this was obviously post-slavery, but in a time where these plantations would have stores and things like that, and they would only give Black people, it was basically a form of store credit. So, let's say you returned something or you did.
Okay, sorry. Smoke 100% shot the people. Because I look at this edit, and this is him pulling out his gun in the middle of the road to shoot them. Well, it went back.
I can barely see.
That was him shooting them. Did you just see that?
But how do you know that was Smoke? I don't know.
Because he was the one who was wearing blue.
Oh, I didn't know Smoke wore blue. I don't know nothing about that.
I think.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, listen to the wooden nickel story. So wooden nickel part is true, right? And so they would give them these wooden nickels at the time, and that is a lot of times what they would work for. They would get, not that they would only get wooden nickels, but a lot of times you would get it was almost like a bartering thing or whatever. Or they would get wooden nickels, and they would only be able to spend them at these stores, and it was a way to control these Black populations of okay, we're gonna give you something, we're gonna give you money, but you're not gonna be able to build wealth because you can't just use the money anywhere you want to. We want you to use them in our stores. So first of all, we actually just gloss over how diabolically disgusting racism is. I chose my words wisely. Is this the maliciousness of all of it is literally bone shaking. And
it had such mastermind planning too.
It was so well thought out to try and control a group of people that we're still feeling the effects today. they knew that giving black people and putting money into black populations and letting them build and grow would only benefit them. So they made it so that we were going to give you something, but you need to keep it within our story. I want you to spend money with us. You can't spend it anywhere else. You can't build anything. I don't want you to buy land, buy property. I don't want you to get anything that would help you in the future and your generations. We don't want you to do that. We want you to keep it here. And so, whoever it was who was the greed, the greed, seven deadly sin, he didn't want the wooden nickels at the juke joint because that wasn't a real currency to them. It wasn't a way for them to be able to spend money anywhere. You couldn't use wooden nickels anywhere. But then the other cousin, and I think Annie too agreed with that other cousin, was like,
They
"Hey,
worked
like this
hard
is
as
something."
fuck.
Yeah, they work hard all week for this. And so I saw a woman on TikTok talk about how she, like, when she was younger, she would ask her grandpa why he would say something about, like, he would always have this saying about, like, don't
Don't
ever,
take those
like,
wooden
yeah,
nickels.
don't take those wooden nickels or whatever, right? And she would also, like, one day she was like, what does that mean? And he explained to her that that's sometimes what they would have, and that the fact that they purposely did it to keep money out of the black community is so diabolical to me. Um, but anyways, that's just something that I thought was very interesting. That was a real thing as well. There's so much history in this movie. Um,
Um.
yeah, that's all I had to say about that.
Okay, so then they. I'm still in my head thinking I don't. You've ruined. You gave me false confidence actually now, and I'm like,
No, no, no. You might be right. I'm wrong. I'm gonna take.
no, because then they're gonna say Malik made him apologize. He was right the whole time. I don't
I
know.
don't know the guys. I don't know. I promise you, I'm not like tied to any one thing. I don't know. I just saw this video and the guy said that, so I don't know. That's all I'm saying.
So anyways, they go to the juke joint and they're there and everybody's there and they're accepting the wooden nickels and they're doing this and they're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Delta Slim performs his little ting, and then he introduces Preacher Boy to perform his
Right.
little ting. And this is why I go back to when I say I feel like Delta Slim really took this story and opened my eyes a little bit, because also he's doing this monologue where he's explaining things and he's going like, this isn't like that religion that they taught us, like this is magic and magic is what we do.
Right.
And then it goes into Sammy telling me somebody take me, which
Yeah.
had me gagged beyond belief. That whole scene was, I just
That
think,
scene was gagging.
iconic, very gagging, very like, and it was going like, we're getting our past, present, and future. Our ancestors are
Right. That
descendants.
was
Like, oh
so.
God.
My dad, when I talked to him about it, I feel like he was just taking it way too literally. He was like, "That's supposed to be Jimi Hendrix, and that's supposed to be." I was like, "I mean, is that what you think that was happening? Like they were like actual?" He was like, "That was Easy E." He gonna say that was Easy E. I said
I
Easy E. I
I
said I
don't
don't
know.
know. I was like, I don't know if they were like trying to specifically be those people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was more thinking that it was but maybe that's what they were. Maybe he like knows better because like maybe there was
He
like a
was
certain
there.
way that Easy E. Right. Maybe there was a certain like way that Easy E and Jimi Hendrix or whatever dress where he was like, that's supposed to be that person. But for me, it was more of just a zoomed out macro lens of history of
Different.
music, different
Yeah.
genres, different types, all that we've contributed to American music. That's what I saw it as, but my dad took it very literally and he was like, this is supposed to be that person, this is supposed to be that person. So I don't know.
I don't know if
Maybe
it's supposed to be literal. I took it how you took
right.
it, where this was like all these different generations of music and how we've
Maybe it's just our
expressed
youth.
ourselves throughout. Yeah, maybe we're showing our youth, but throughout the years of all these things. And so now this is where I want to go into Remick and the
Okay.
nuance of his character and what I thought about him. So I think with Remick, and why I understand what's going on and why I think the fact that there was also a vampire was very interesting, because Remick to me wasn't really necessarily thinking, I feel like he represented a lot of things and he wasn't really thinking like, oh, this is what I'm doing is bad. I think that he was more yearning for something. And I think because of his being Irish. He had faced colonization within
Right,
his
right,
people, indentured servitude within his people. He had lost
hmm
his people. He had lost his ties to his ancestors and his culture. And I think that
right,
that is what he wanted. That's why he wanted
exactly,
Sammy, because he wanted to take them and take. He wanted to colonize their culture, their community, their thing, and he wanted it for himself. Whereas his shit was colonized to beginning, and he was colonized to colonizer, is what
right.
I got from Remick, where I kind of understood, because I think that he thought he was very, he thought that his plight was equal to black
To the
people's.
black plight, right,
Because he was and I think that he genuinely thought that. And I think that a lot of this is something that we see today, where it's like, well, these people were slaves too? Well, this happened. Everybody was a slave at one point in time, and this happened,
right,
this
right,
happened. It's always this comparison of things. But then if we go back to the beginning, he was very much easily able to use his white privilege to get into the house in the first place
right,
with
right.
those people, where black people would never be able to do that,
At
you know?
all. And I think that to kind of zoom out and give history to, because we kind of just like live the white life we live, but I mean like because whatever, it's 2025, and but there's a lot more rich history in how this all came to be. It never, ever, ever, ever was just black and white. And you really have to think about how America and white America used to be an incredibly small, very, very small, and I guess at the time it wasn't even white America. It was certain groups that had privilege over other groups. And Italian Americans, Irish Americans, so many other people who came from these other lands were also treated horribly. Obviously, not the same as the transatlantic slave trade. We do have to make a distinction and a separation there. But it's easy for us to just think, oh, Italian people are white. Oh, Irish people are white. They had all the same things. They all loved everybody, blah, 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 blah. That's not how it started. Race eventually got added into the conversation when they realized that the people who weren't them outnumbered them. When you claim yourselves as the superiority and you have these other people who outnumber you, you need to like add some more people so that you can be the more dominant like group of people. So what they did was over a certain period of time, they started to incorporate Irish people, Italian people, whoever they could into what we now call white people. And this made it, okay, this is so much easier now for us to be white versus black. Even though I'm rich, you're poor, whatever, at least you're white and you're not like them. And they took it and ate it up. Irish people, Italian people, they said, okay, well, if now you're not going to call me a monkey, which they did do the Irish people, and you're not going to treat me in X, Y, and Z way, I'm now going to take the little privilege that I can and be white. And that's how we have today, where if you're Italian, if you're Irish, or any other insert white person here, in the past you might have been discriminated against by certain white Americans, but now you're just white like them. You're German, you're whatever. But it was a way to distinctly do that. And the reason why I'm doing that, saying that history, is because Remick, I don't think he sees himself as white like these other people.
Yeah.
He is, obviously, but he's not thinking about that. He's thinking like, those same white people have come and colonized us. They have come and done all the things that they're doing to you, they did to my people too. Why not join me? Why not join me and we can be against them, because they're the villain. And then I also want to say lastly is that I think he really, really had an infatuation with Sammy, because his whole thing, like I said in the beginning, his whole underlying thing is that he wants to get as many people on his side as possible, right? And his method right now works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, right? And he obviously can tell that like with the people in the juke joint, he can't infiltrate it. And he sees how music is the connection that Sammy has to all these people. They're flocking to him. They're joyous with him. And he I think he envies, that's his seven deadly sin. He envies Sammy's talent. He wants it, and he knows that if he gets Sammy, he's going to have that talent, because they all become one as a hive mind. So he knows he's going to have the ability to influence masses through music, and he wants that so badly, because his whole goal is to get as many people on his side as possible. And I think that that's what is very interesting about it. The fact that he's Irish specifically, and I love that they did a little jig. Okay.
Well, I want to get to the jig in a second, because I think the
Okay.
jig has things. But yeah, so I think that I agree with you, but I also do think that it was also, I think a lot of his motivations was that he wanted to get into contact with his own ancestral lineage.
Yes,
lineage,
that was my last
which
sentence.
is why we'll get into the jig in a second. But then so then that's when he then knocks on the door and he's like, hey, like, we just want to like sing some music too. They're talking about some Pick Poor Robin, diddle 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 do.
Okay, I feel like there was definitely like an eerie silence in the audience because to me, I was feel like I was more taking it literally, like that was like their interpretation of blues, and I was like, because at the time I wasn't thinking he was Irish or anything. I was just like, oh, this is
Mhm.
this white man trying to steal this black culture, and I was like, this is terrible. He said,
Yeah.
oh, and they were going, okay,
They did
well,
that little
yes.
thing in unison though. They kind of ate that.
I was not impressed, but whatever.
Um, but yeah, so they did that and they said, well, no. And then they leave. So now back to Mary, and this is what I think is interesting. I don't really know how to interpret this, but now I think that we go back to Mary, who is now trying to use her white privilege for her version of good, where she can go out there
Mhm.
knowing that she's white and that it'll be fine and that she can
Right,
talk to them and use that. But then it backfires. So I wonder what's really the message there of like, it backfires and basically starts the like all of this shit, you know?
right.
And I wonder what the message is with that. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I think
sorry.
with Mary, like I said, that the plot, I didn't see a lot of people talking about Mary, and I think it was more, and I don't know, I wonder why. I think maybe it was like people thought it was maybe too obvious to like, and people wouldn't care like to make content on that. But I just feel like I haven't seen a lot about the storyline of Mary and what her role was and what she was supposed to represent versus in the movie and like in real life. Because I see a lot of stuff obviously about the Asian people and the fact that Remick is Irish and all those things, but I didn't hear a lot of things about Mary, and I think it is a little confusing like what she was supposed to represent being like the one
Mhm.
eighth, black and stuff like that. But she, yeah, like you said, she used her privilege to try to go out there and talk to him, and it ended up terrible.
It did end
Um,
up terrible, which is very interesting. Then she goes back in. That's when she was using her 1/8 on Stack. And she's going, "Do you remember how my do you remember this pussy?" Or something she said.
sure did, and I looked at my
Um,
dad.
and then they go in the back or whatever. And then also Sammy was doing something strange with
He was,
Perlene.
he was.
He was doing
So
something with Perlene.
Perlene's thing is lust. By the way, I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, okay.
Perlene's thing was lust, and she very much so you like, cause girl, you got a man. You got a man. What is you doing? And she want every other man. She told me some and she just like threw her little sundress back, and she said, and I looked at my
Well,
dad.
no, she said first time
And
she said I'm not. She said I'm not really clean. She said I
yeah,
haven't
she did say
douched.
that.
And he said I
Would you
want to taste all your natural, baby. And that's when I said, why didn't they tell me to bring the rose? Uh,
the road? You're just literally going to jail for this.
why didn't they tell me to bring this joker? Why didn't they tell me
Okay,
to bring
so
the
did
rose?
you? If you're Perlene, are you letting him?
Yes, I think that if somebody was like, especially at that time, you know how men are so like, if a girl farts or shits, she's
Right, right,
disgusting.
right.
But now he's saying he wants my juices. He's saying he
My
wants a little bit of
neener.
my juice, Nina. Then yes, I'm letting them taste it a little bit. I
Oh,
feel
but
like that
she's
would.
been dancing and jumping around. It's a little sweaty down there.
Okay, but he said he doesn't
Ew.
give a fuck. He said he doesn't care. He said he wants to taste it. I would let him taste it. What if he said ew? He said haktua. That's actually what he
Ew.
said was a haktua.
If he said, "What's that smell?" I would have said, "Well, you."
Literally. What do you
I would
mean?
have
What's
said,
that
"Well,
smell?
you wanted it. I don't know what to tell you." What's that smells
Um,
really crazy.
and then they're doing that. Then Mary and Stack are doing what they're doing. Smoke is looking for Stack, finds Stack,
Hmm.
and she's eating him or whatever. Then Mary runs out. She goes hee hee hee. She runs out. That's when things really start to hit the fan. And that's when Annie
Right.
comes in and she's like, "Listen, boom, boom, boom. They're hentais or whatever they were." She called them, and then she's like,
She didn't
"Actually,
play.
no."
It tastes crazy.
She said they're me hentais, and then she said, "Well, actually, no, they're vampires." Then they were like, "Okay, we need to do the garlic." So, what were you gonna say about the garlic?
Oh. I was gonna say Perlene pissed me off.
Oh, that was a
Um,
lot.
Perlene literally pissed me off. I don't care if they had. I hate fish. I'm eating a sardine to let you know I'm not a vampire. I'm so sorry, but give it to me. Give it to me now. Give it to me. I want to know. I want you to know immediately that I am not one of them. And it's just like having hesitation just made you think that she was a vampire. Like, why would you even do that?
Yeah.
Like, I understand being like, I would just be like, oh my god, this is gonna make me gag, but I would just eat it. Like,
Hmm.
doing all that. She was like swishing around her mouth, like, I don't want to do this, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Like, girl,
Well,
that
Sammy pissed me off more because I don't think the thing about this is I don't think that Perlene was. I can't remember if this is true or not, but I don't think that Perlene was there when they like had shot Mary and saw the eating and all that. I don't think that she saw any of that. But Sammy
Mm.
saw all of that. So if I'm just pulling in there going, you need to eat this piece of garlic because we're telling you to, and I didn't see, I don't know what's going on. I'm like, I would maybe wouldn't want to eat the garlic. But then Sammy, who saw Mary take 10 bullets and do this,
Oh,
go, no, she don't
oh,
want to
I
eat the
see.
garlic. Don't let her eat the garlic. Why is
Okay,
it
but
like that's a lot?
they definitely explain like, okay, we have some vampires in the mist. Are you a
Okay, and
vampire or
I
not?
said, what are you talking? I would say, what do you mean you
Okay,
have some vampires in the mist?
okay, well then say that then instead of saying I don't like garlic.
I
Like,
guess.
okay, like girl,
Okay, but
bite the garlic and chew it.
Sammy should have shut up and was just like, please, Parlene, eat the garlic. That's all
Oh
you have
my
to say. But then
god.
he's going, no, she doesn't like garlic. Because why is he doing that then? Because I would be like, yeah, I don't like garlic. But anyways, and that's why he gets his tooth busted in with that gun. Um, but then, yeah, she was doing a lot with the garlic. That was really crazy. And then all the people start then all the people start coming in and stuff, and or so all the people start trying to like come in and things, which I
Right.
feel like was some kind
Because
of
Cornbread went and
symbolism.
used the bathroom, right? We're at
Yeah,
that point.
Cornbread went to use the bathroom. Grace sent Bo to go get the car.
Right.
That other man was out there sleeping or whatever. And I feel like there was some because I feel like I've been like I just have happened to been watching a lot of vampire things recently, and I feel like that's a very old thing that they don't really do anymore. Of like the trope of like we need to be invited in. I feel like modern
Yes,
day
I heard about
vampires don't
that.
do that anymore.
I
So I
didn't know that
wonder
that was a
what
thing until
the
I watched the video.
well, I
But yeah, sorry.
remember they used to always be like, we can't get them in. Like, I remember when I was younger, that used to be all the thing. But
Mm.
now that I feel like media has given away that. So I wonder what the symbolism or thing was as to why they kind of brought that back for this and what it like, what it was meaning, if it had a double meaning. Did you hear anything about anything?
No, no. This is my own thoughts about it. But this is again me taking a little bit more of a literal route. So in my mind, I'm thinking the juke joint is like obviously everything, all things blackness, all
Okay.
of our culture, our history, our ancestry, all of that, right? And I think that it's more of a we're gatekeeping this shit. Like you can't come in here. You can't be allowed in here. Because at the time when I was watching the movie, I'm just seeing Remick as like a white man, which obviously he still is, but I'm thinking in my mind the imitation. So it was interesting, and we'll get to Grace in a second because she comes up in this, but it's more of a you have to invite them into our culture. Like we're the ones inviting people to the cookout. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Them being invited in is us like being so open with our culture, so open with our lingo, so open with our music, all of that, and being so like anybody and everybody can come and take. And what they do is they come in and they profit, and then and we can talk about you might want to talk about Grace later because it's a whole big thing about it. But that I will do a part B to what I'm saying right now. But I'm just saying in general, I think that that's what the invitation meant was like we have to be the ones to invite them in. Otherwise, they aren't. Even though they probably would try to come in anyways in real life, but the point is, I think that it was more of a we have the decision to say, are we going to allow you to come
Mm-hmm.
onto our space into our space? That's to me is what it meant.
Okay. I think I agree because that is because the thing that I was also thinking was about like when now so now going to um when the Rocky Road to Dublin um
Hmm.
I think well you remember when it was just them three out there
Yeah,
and
yeah, I
poor
do.
Rocky Road of Dublin down
But when the
down
going got tough and he got them out there, oh, they weren't playing.
and notice how now the black influence um it
Right,
ate his shit up and he was able to do now because I don't know if that other song was like Irish or whatever, but this song was very clearly Irish. He was very clearly
right.
doing an Irish dance. And so them all in a circle, I heard that that's called a ring shout. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
that's
heard
like
something
an
about that too.
African ritual where they would do these dances. So I think that now this white man who is it's like almost like a combination of this culture, of the combination of the Irish
Right,
culture, black people doing this ring shout around him, enhancing his shit. At the end, she said, "Hey, yeah, yeah," and they all got on him, and he was feeling himself. He felt good because he was getting in touch with
right.
his ancestors, and with the help of black people, he was able to finally get a little bit of his culture back. And he was like, "I'm getting Sammy's ass now after this." Trust and believe.
Right, right, because that is going to only further. that experience that he had. He just got a few black people behind him, and it elevated his experience
Um,
tenfold. And
tenfold.
now having like that's why he wanted Sammy's gift so bad, because it would have just elevated everything so much more to have that kind of like ancestral connection. Anyways, you can continue. I don't have anything else to
Yeah.
say.
So I thought that that was very interesting too, and like furthered
Hmm.
my thought of why his motive was like that he wanted to reconnect with his own lineage or whatever.
Right.
And then after that, they're doing all of that, and then Bo comes and he's like, "Come on, baby." Now, if Bo asked me to come out, I might have came
Oh, I'm
out.
going.
That might have been one of the only people who could have got me to come out. I don't know. Maybe Remick on a good day too. A little bit.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay, we're going to jail. I think that I would have probably been a vamp. I would have been a vampire. I'm leaving the people inside. That I don't know if I'm
Wait a
leaving.
minute.
But Bo and Brimmick might have had a little bit of
They
influence.
might have had a little bit of influence. I've been like, maybe this isn't that bad. But
When
then,
Remick said, "I know what you like," I would have said, "Do you now?"
and he's been speaking my mother tongue. I
Can you stop?
I would have said,
Oh
okay,
my god,
what's
he
going
did do
on?
that.
He did.
He did
Uh,
speak it. That is actually really funny.
and which also further my thing of like having all this culture, ancestors, like combining all this culture into one to build this super
Right.
culture, this super feeling of feeling connected to everyone and everything and all these things is what I
It
feel
might
like
have been
that
cute,
this
and
is.
maybe I would have said, "You know what? This is kind of cute.
I
Let's go
rebuke
out
it.
there."
But then he was so then Bo comes out and they're like, oh my god, turn Bo, that's so much. And then so Grace was like, damn, because then what's his face? Remick was like, yeah, we're gonna go into your daughter. Let's see what's gonna happen with
Right.
her
Right.
and all these things. So now Grace is having her internal battles of like,
Hmm.
what am I gonna do? What's gonna happen? And I kind of understood it a little bit from her point of view, but I don't know if maybe
Right.
you're not supposed to understand because I was thinking, I don't know, maybe this is now I'm like doing some Swifty Beehive shit where I'm like,
Reading into it.
means this because, but I feel like the fact like give Grace some grace. You know, maybe you aren't supposed to give Grace some
Oh.
grace and maybe the fact of her being an Asian in a predominantly black space, ignoring what they're having to say and going
Right.
against their own needs might mean something. But I was thinking, is there a reason why her name was Grace? I don't know, but I was
So
giving her grace though, so I don't know if
okay.
I'm supposed to.
I think that I've heard both sides, and I think I don't know which one that I'm leaning towards, because I think that she clearly I'm not clearly, she probably would have stayed inside and been, a nice little sweet woman and did whatever she needed to do until he brought up her daughter. So I understand as a mother, it added a depth of character to her. But then I just kind of zoomed out and I was like, well, everybody else got somebody on the outside, I'm sure, that they care about. Sammy has his father. Like, he has somebody who I'm sure he cares about, and that the vampires could obviously get, but he's not betraying everybody in there to go save him. You know what I'm
Yeah, but
saying?
they didn't leverage anybody else but Grace. They didn't say we're gonna go to that church and get your
I
dad.
get it. But I think so. That's why I get both sides. I think also, though, is that, again, tying it to real life, I think there is a point in saying Asian people coming into black spaces, profiting off of black spaces, and then when the going gets tough, they're the first
They're
one
leaving them to
to
dry.
in the proximity to whiteness immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like she was like, when the going got a little bit tough for her, it was like, okay, well, I'm done. I don't care about you guys. I don't care about you guys. I'm going to do what I want to do for more selfish reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if she had yeah, she had the sin of pride, which is like an inflated self importance, and she was like selfish in that sense of like, I care about my daughter more than I care about the collective group. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what it felt like, but also I do understand that they were bartering her daughter's life.
And that was
So
all
I
she had left. Her husband was already
right what's up
gone. That's all she had left.
right
So I don't know, but obviously I was a little. I understand. I got what was happening, but I did not like. I didn't fuck with the fact that like I don't know, whatever. But then they all come in and I feel like and then it's really sad because she was immediately dusted. She was on
right
fire. She was with, but she at least got to kill her husband. So maybe that was like nice. She
right
knew that her husband was gonna be
like
able to
free.
go off. Also, before like Annie's like, if I get turned, make sure you kill me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, she knew.
because it makes you kill me because I want to see our baby. And then she was like, so then Annie gets turned. Smoke kills her. And most interesting to me is immediately everybody was like, oh, no, 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 what's going on? And to me, that showed like the fact of like, I think they genuinely thought that what they were doing was good. Like, they
Hmm.
weren't just trying to like kill these people for no reason. I think they genuinely thought that what they were doing was good. Like they liked Annie. They wanted to change them for a better purpose in their heads, you know,
Right.
and which kind of goes along with like what you were saying about colonization, because I feel like when black people get under this realm of like white supremacy and listen to them, they do think that their lives are better when in actuality they aren't. Like
Hmm.
they do think that we're fine, we're so good, everything's fine, there's nothing wrong. But obviously now they're dead and they're vampires and all these things, and they're trying to like get other black people to change and stuff like that because
Right.
they genuinely do think that that's the right thing to do, but it's not. So
Right.
yeah, and then Annie dies. Then Slim sacrifices himself. Perlene sacrifices himself. Um, Sammy jumps out of the window or whatever and his own thing. Then Smoke and Stack are having their little thing where they're fighting each other.
Right.
The Mojo bag, Stack isn't able to get to Smoke because of it. And then it
Right.
gets to Sammy, who's in the water with his guitar. The things are going to them, and then he starts praying. And then
That I have something to say about that.
immediately after that, everybody prays,
Which is
which
very
was
interesting.
which is very interesting to me as well. What do you have to say?
So my interpretation of it, when I also seen this around, was that it's like, listen, mama, the same group of people, the exact same. By the way, my phone is on 10%, so I need to get to my charger. We can probably pause it after this so I can get my charger. But the same group of people that colonized your ancestors and did all they did to you, oh, they did it to me too, mama. So let's recite it together. How about that?
Mm,
And it was very much like it took power out of what he was saying. And I don't know if everybody peeped this. It took power out of the prayer because now Remick is reciting the prayer with him. It's like, how do you know this? This
yeah.
is it's supposed to be very clearly cut, good versus evil, God versus devil, and you're now reciting the prayer too with
Mm,
me. And it's like, what do you mean by that? And I think that that is what it kind of gave, was like, now it brings Remick more closer to, I'm not like that. I'm not just a white person. I'm Irish. I'm trying to get you on my side because you're not having a better life being with these people who are white, and I've experienced what you're experiencing, and the colonization of your people happened to me as well, and we need to band together. And so this prayer that you're having right now and praying out to God, it's not going to work because I know it too. I can say it too. I can
mm.
recite it too. It's the same thing, and I think that that's what he was trying to say, or that's what it was trying giving. What do you think about it?
Well, I think what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna turn the page and I'll come back to what I think
Okay,
goes
okay,
on. And then that happens, hits the guitar over the head with the
right.
man. Then Smoke then comes out, impales Remick. The sun comes up, everybody's dying. And Smoke and Sammy are together and going, "Ah, this is crazy." Sammy leaves, drives the car. Smoke's like, "I have business to take care of." Sammy goes to. Actually, we'll do Smoke's ending first.
Hmm.
Smoke then is there because he said, "I'm gonna if that's the fucking truth, I'm gonna kill every one of them dead." And he said, "Well, I have something I need to do." He takes off his little mojo bag, throws it to the ground, and he's ready to die in my
Protection is
head.
gone. Right.
His
Yeah, that's
protection's
exactly what it
gone.
is.
And then the KKK comes and they're there. He eats them up. And then he gets shot though. He asks the guy for the cigarette. The guy says what he says, and then shoots him dead. Now it's just Smoke there, and then he's starting to see Annie and
Hmm.
his baby, and then he's like about to die as well and be able to spend his life with them. And that's the last we see of Smoke. Do you have anything to say about that?
I don't. Yeah, the only thing that I was gonna say is like just the mojo bag. He like takes it off almost like as like a I'm ready to go because his obviously his wife and daughter are already gone, and he's like this is kind of
And
like
brother.
my right. It's kind of like I'm ready to go. Like I don't have anything left here, so he takes it off because that was his protection,
Mm-hmm.
and so he takes it off and to be like I'm almost like a unaliving himself, being like I'm ready to go to the other side. Okay, we have some updating to do,
We do
and
have some updating. You
so first
guys.
of all,
Okay, first of all, what? First of all,
first of
what?
all, I just want to say that Malik is the only person who sided with a because he said that I sided with a white man, but because
He sided
apparently
with a
Smoke
man
is the
that's
one.
not me.
He said I sided with a white man, and it was not a white man. It was actually a black man who told me that Smoke and Stack were. I mean, that Stack was the one who did the thing with the girl, the bartering thing. But it was actually a black man that I was listening to. Malik is the only person in
No,
this episode who sided with the white man, saying that black
I've
people are loud
never
and
sided with a
disgusting
white
and
man.
animals
I've only
king
ever sided with
in
myself.
theaters, and I
And
never
this
said
is
that.
this is
So
the moral of the story, you guys. Side with yourself, okay? Go with your gut because I was right. Smoke was the one who shot those people, and Smoke was the one
so then
who did the thing.
okay, well then whatever video that I saw
And you
doesn't make
said
sense
that
now because
you said, well, nobody ever.
they didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything either. And I
Did
said,
you
"Oh,
look
okay."
at the comments?
I think that they
Actually,
were probably confused too. What did you say?
I said,
Yeah, I looked at a few. Oh my god, it's a little
it
lag.
was
I looked at
lagging.
a few. I looked at a few of the comments, and nobody said anything, and I didn't in my mind trigger anything. I was like, "Oh, that makes sense," and so I guess everyone was like, "What? Well, whatever." But so then now that doesn't make sense though, because then
At
what
all. And you guys are
was
watching
Smoke
winners.
also the one? Was Smoke also the one who didn't want the wooden nickels? Who didn't want the wooden nickels?
Smoke.
So Smoke was the wrath and the greed. What was Stack doing the whole time? Nothing.
I don't know.
Dang,
I don't know.
he didn't do a damn thing. He didn't do a
But
damn thing the whole time. Anyways, I only have a little few things to say about the end of it, so
okay.
we can get to the end.
So then,
Um,
oh, you were just saying it because I didn't say the thing about
no,
Sammy.
no. I might as well say that this is the last seven deadly sin one. This one to me was a stretch. So he said Sammy is sloth, and he said that sloth often is interpreted as like being lazy, but it's not all the time. He said that sometime in the book, apparently this guy's incredible. So, so I don't know. But anyways, he said sloth can sometimes more mean like he didn't fulfill his duty. Like he had the duty to fulfill his like spiritual and biblical testimony, like his father was telling him to do this and that, and he didn't do that. Whatever. I don't even want to get into it because apparently I don't know what the man's talking about, and he don't know what he's talking about either, apparently. So whatever. The seven deadly sin things was a thing we did a little soft launch, and it crashed. So whatever. I don't know the man from Tuesday, so don't quote me. Anyways,
Quote
what else do you have
Darius
to
for
say?
real. Now, then Sammy comes back to the church next morning after, like
Right.
he said he would, and he walks in there with a little thing of his guitar, and his dad's like, "Put down
It's
the
the same we
guitar."
saw in the beginning.
Yeah, same we saw in the beginning. Put down the guitar, and all of that happened. Also, I want to point out that I feel like there was a very significant thing to say that guitar was actually not whoever it was supposed to be, and it was actually Smoke and Stack's father's guitar.
Right.
Because I think that that's why like he was able to like do the things that he was able to do because he wasn't just using like he was using somebody who was tied to him indirectly. Like that's why
Oh,
he
I
was able
see. I
to
see.
give the descendants and the ancestors in the thing.
Oh,
Or well,
because they said it was Jimi Hendrix's guitar.
they did
I
say
actually don't know who they said it was.
I don't
But
know who was.
Jimi Hendrix didn't exist. He wasn't born yet.
But so this is what
Maybe he was.
I don't know.
I don't know nothing about that man.
So then this is what so now I want to go back and encompass all the things I was saying. So I was saying like before with all of Sammy's experiences and why I think he decided to then leave the church and go off on his own because I saw a lot of people being like he sold himself to the devil or whatever, and I think that that's like almost the exact opposite of the message that you were supposed to have.
Yeah, I don't. Right.
And what I think is, so if we go back to the beginning of Sammy's like night and like go back to the thing that I was saying that happened with Slim and everything, where we see that that's one of the first, and why I said that Slim really connected all these things for me, because Slim was the one who talked about this very traumatic thing, and then was able to go into music and was able to have him and Sammy go into music. That's one of the first times that Sammy sees in the night that music is not something bad. Like that playing
Right.
music can actually heal you, can be something that's good, can be something that is
Has a
truly
positive
good, that
connotation.
has a
Yeah.
positive connotation, and it can be used for good. First time. Second time is when then once again Delta Slim is saying to him like, this isn't something that we were taught. It's something that we know. Like, this is something that we learn, like we learned this religion through them.
Right.
This is something we're taught. And then he's able to have this amazing feeling while he's playing the guitar and doing all these things, and this amazing thing that touches all the people that's in the juke joint. Then we have the thing with the prayer. And the thing with the prayer to me was that the final like thing that encompassed everything was that the way that I interpreted it was where like you can have faith. I don't think that he lost his I don't think that he lost the way that he believes in God, but I think that he lost
Right.
the organization of it, the way that we were taught to have this organized religion, in the way that maybe churches are,
Right.
and the things that he was told of like, you do this, this is bad. If you sing this is bad. And
Right.
now this was the final nail in the coffin of like, this is this evil that has the same organized religion that I had and had the same teachings that I had, and it's not doing anything
Right.
for me whatsoever at all. Like it's nothing right now. But that doesn't mean that
Right.
you can't have faith, because Annie had her own faith, and that
Right.
saved the night. Honestly. Um and at the and they made it a point to almost question and make it seem like what she was doing was stupid when she was first introduced, like when she was making the mojo bags, and they could do, but it was
Right.
real because she 100% believed in it and knew that it was real. It was something of her own. And I feel
Right.
like this thing that is that like Delta Slim was saying, that this isn't something that we were taught. This isn't something that we learn. This is something that we know. And these
That
things
we've always
that
been.
we've always
Right.
been. And now these things are something that we were taught by white people during slavery and all of those things, just like it was taught with all those other things. And now it's something that we are using to dictate this talent. Sammy had an immense talent with him, and he used that talent in the church too, but he also used it in the juke joint. He used it in there. But he was told not to
Right.
do that because it was evil. He was told to diminish his talents and diminish his life because it was evil, it was bad, it wasn't good. But really, the whole entire night, he saw that that was one of the only good things, actually. And the thing that
Right.
was not bad, but the thing that was the thing that told him that it was a bad didn't even reinforce any positives throughout the night. You know, like,
Right.
and we see this also because then Sammy leaves. He becomes very famous. He continues to not diminish his light and his talent, and he becomes very famous. We see then at the end credit scene, Stack and Mary show up. I don't know if you peeped this, but Stack himself is wearing a cross. Stack is supposed to be this
I saw that.
evil thing, but he can easily wear a cross. He's not turned off to it. It's not burning his skin. It's not doing anything. It's not rebuking him. He still was able to have his faith even though he was a vampire, you know? So this isn't something
Right.
that's combating things. He was still in that faith. And I think that to me, this whole thing was like showing that like a lot of the things we learned, we now use against a lot of black people to call this bad. We say that Beyonce's
Right.
in a devil and she sold her soul and
Right.
she did all this because she can sing very well, and which is just asinine, quite frankly.
More than
It's
asinine.
just crazy. And I feel like, but this is real. Like that's what always happens. That's what I
Right.
was saying in The Color Purple.
And it was designed to be that way. It was designed to demonize anything to do with blackness, black culture, black anything that everything is labeled witchcraft these
Mm-hmm.
days. Everything. And then I'm gonna say my two things only because I don't have very much, and you seem like you have more. I was gonna say his father, like saying in the beginning that music was the only thing it was gonna bring up the devil. Like that's what he literally told him. Like that is just gonna get you in some bad trouble. But the only thing that it really did was bring up ancestors. So this is what I saw from a girl on TikTok. All it did was really bring up like the culturalness of the ancestry at the juke joint, and arguably that is the devil to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the anytime bringing up ancestry or anything like that, that is witchcraft. That's the devil, which is what has been taught and told to us. And so therefore, when it's conjured up, and which is what he was doing, that's actually one of the only things that saved them. Yeah. That was the only good thing about it, was that he was conjuring up, ancestors, or like it was the past, present, and the future, right? And then it just like kind of brings in another dimension of the fact that and my last thing was that I guess just the fact that like blues was supposed to be the devil, and like we heard or talked about that before, where it was like anything music is worldly, and I think that he was able to show that it kind of it didn't really conjure up the devil, because I don't think that Remick is supposed to be the devil. He's just supposed to be like a vampire, right? But and so it's kind of like in your face. I feel like I don't know what I'm saying. It's kind of in your face where you can tell me losing my train of thought. The lights are in my eyes. Either way, that's all I'm saying, is that there was a demonstration of. Why am I blanking?
You're scaring me.
I don't know. Just take it from me. Remick, he's right here. He's coming to get me.
Yeah. I agree. Like it's, and I.
Because that's all I had to say.
Okay.
Was that. Yeah, it was just the juxtaposition, and I think that's very interesting that it was to demonize our ancestors, but yet, it actually the only thing that saved him. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
The music, the guitar, everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that it was the only thing that saved him, but all those other things. But the thing that we thought would save us, a prayer, did not do that thing. So I just thought that was interesting. And that was my interpretation of that thing. And I thought that I could see the linearness of Sammy almost unlearning this thinking throughout the night because of his experiences with music, and how it was seen. He was told it was this really bad thing, but it really wasn't. So yeah, and I think that that's a lot of things that happens within the Black community of like if you're in the church and then you want to start like doing your talents elsewhere, like they're like, no, this secular music, it's bad, it's terrible, it's good, and then they have this thing where they aren't sure what to do, and oftentimes it's really diminishing their light, and it's something that we were taught that is bad, but it's like, I don't know if that is bad, So yeah, and then
did you get like the post credits thing? I didn't know. Everybody said there was 6 post credit things. Yeah.
I gotta set that there.
I didn't see that one. I don't think
it was just him singing "This Little Light of Mine."
Yeah, they said there was some symbolism in that. I don't know if I know what it was.
I don't know.
Because it says something about how like that's the same song he was singing and they were singing in the beginning or something. But it's like now he's singing it differently, or now he was like singing it after everything that had happened, or I don't know, it was something like that. Whatever. Anyways, I don't remember specifically, and apparently I lost my my brain cells after I got my charger.
What did you do over there? You went and smoked something?
What would you do if Remick was upstairs when I got my charger and I came back down and I was actually just I was in a part of the hive mind?
That is what you're doing, because literally you are going and something's up. I'm not letting you into my house.
No, just let me. I'm one of you guys. Well, no. I'm just Darius.
One of you guys is crazy.
I'm just kidding. That's scary. One of you guys is crazy. Anyways, I think it's because it's been 2 hours and I'm starving and I've lost my my train of thought on everything. So let's wrap it up.
Okay. And then one thing I just wanted to say was I just thought the acting was very good. I think that like Michael B. Jordan, it's very interesting, and I wonder if this is also a thing about race, where like, why isn't he in the conversations of like the Timothy Chalamets? Because we've seen Michael B. Jordan in a lot of different roles, and to be able to play two characters,
two different ones,
but like they're different. Like I had distinguished like distinguishings between the both of them.
Well, I didn't know the difference between Smoke and Stack, apparently.
Yeah, it had no impact on you or that man either, apparently. But like I think that that's very like I think that he ate, and I thought it was very interesting too. And like um the same thing with like Ryan Coogler. I feel like he obviously did Black Panther and stuff.
Right.
And did you see where he was like, okay, like you don't have to say black director, like,
Yes, I saw
and
that.
I
I
think he
saw.
that's very interesting too. Like, and then the guy who played Sammy, that was actually his first thing. And what?
I was gonna say, why is it that they're where are the other direct? I mean, I'm sure they exist, but where are the other directors who are non-black who are putting this amount of like this is iconic. Like when you watch a Jordan Peele movie, you also get that like there's some history in this, there's some research done in this. When you listen to a Beyonce album, there was research in this, there was history done in this. When you see a Ryan Coogler movie, there was history done, there was research done. You got to dig into it. When I see another insert movie here, it's just like, oh, this is a surface level movie,
Well, not every
and I
movie
just
was
like black
surface
people are
level, but
bringing
they are doing
are
that.
kicking the doors down.
Well, they
We're gonna
have
give you
to.
an essay and a history.
They have to, or else they're gonna say pass, and then it's gonna
They
flop.
are
They have to do all that research, and not even that, but they
right. You
care
got
to
to
do it too. Like, I'm sure they want things to be represented correctly, whereas other people really don't give a fuck because we haven't been represented correctly in multiple forms of media.
right.
So I'm sure that they want people to get their spotlight. Like even in Wakanda Forever, like we had indigenous tribes in Wakanda Forever and things like that, and the story of that.
Right, right. We had a lot of
Interesting,
that.
yeah. And I'm sure that he took his time and did his research with all of that too. Um, and yeah, and then also like with the score, I was just gagged, and it's in one of my scores now, and I guess the guy's name is Ludwig. Um, did his research. He said he was in the juke joint actually. He was conjuring things while he was there. Like he said, he went and like went to different places to really get the feel of like what this would be and what that was. And I
Right.
think, and I love when people like do things like that. Like I think that that is so iconic and
Yes, I like when you put in the work because
yeah,
it just
it
you come out
shows.
with a much better product. Yeah, yeah, you can tell that there was like history in this, and the fact that like I told you, like the stuff about the trains and the wooden nickels and all those things was like real rich history, and the fact that there was specifically Chinese people there for a reason. There was Native Americans in this movie for a reason. They were there. Like that is like some because he could have just casted anybody to do
Yeah.
that. You know, any random slew of characters that may have been there in the South, but it was accurate to real life, and then it teaches you something. That's what I like too. You go out of the theater wanting to learn more about what you just watched,
Yeah, and
and
the
I think
peel and the
that's why I like
applesauce
it.
isn't surface level where I'm like, oh, these
Right,
are just this is just racist. Like it's something like I didn't
right,
know. Like it's something that makes you look up things, and then you also look up the thing that you just looked up because you're going, what was that?
right, right.
And I think that's very iconic and interesting, and I want more of those types of things. Like I want like if you're gonna do a like this represents this, like don't make it be something like this represents the KKK. Everybody knows what the KKK is, but do you
Right.
know about the wooden nickels? Do you know about the Southern Chinese? Do you know about the Valentine's
hmm
Day Massacre? Do you know about all
But
these
then
things?
also having that real history, but then also having like allegories in it. Like, having that stuff that's not like stuff that like is just abstract that can apply to our lives now. Like the whole Grace being Asian and the model minority and being her proximity to whiteness and those think pieces that you can have. I think that that's also very interesting too. But anyways, I thought it was a great movie, and now after having this conversation, I want to see it again,
Mm-hmm.
so I can see Stack at the end. No, I'm just kidding. um, I could see just all the stuff that we talked about, like, and now not have to think about the plot and really just dig into the storyline of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it again at least one more time. I thought it was very interesting. I hope you guys thought it was interesting too. I hope you guys thought this was interesting because this was definitely
Right.
this. Now you watched the movie. Again, like
Literally.
this was the movie length. Which is a lot. And I wonder what you guys think. Let's have an open conversation in the comments about what your thoughts were, what your interpretations were,
Right. Right.
what
Let
you
us
were
know.
thinking. Did you learn something from us? Did you take something from our interpretations that you thought? Let us know about the format of this. Do you want us to give you very deep dives into things like this, or do
Right.
you want it to be more of like we're just talking and like because
Right. We mentioned it.
we mention it, you know, and go over. So please let us know. I don't know. I'm a little
Be
scared
be
of what you
honest.
guys
Be
have to
honest.
say.
And if you got to the end of this, put candle in the
But
comments
Malik
in
is
any
right.
of your things.
Darius, shut up. Don't listen to anybody else other than Malik. Put that.
Don't well, we'll just talk to this man because I don't know who this man is. Sorry to this man. But I do not know nothing about that.
And you said he was
and
right. Okay, but I think, but are you sure that he did that? Because now what if people said, I saw the video too and he didn't, he said that smoke was smoke.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All you need to know is that things happened and I don't remember. So whatever. It was whoever it was. But then his logic doesn't make sense at all though, because there were supposed to be two separate deadly sins. One was the one with the knee, and which is, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know who it is, but whatever. I wasn't tied to anything. I didn't say I was right for sure. I was confused. So, anyways, all right. Let's end it here. Do you have y'all know what to do? Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you are turning on post notifications, because I think last time somebody was like, oh, I'm usually here all the time, they gave me a notification, I didn't get one. I don't know why that would happen, but make sure you have it turned on to all, and if you want that, turn it on to all instead of personalized, because sometimes they'll send it to you sometimes and not other times, but if you turn it on all, you should get all the notifications. So I don't know why they did that. And then make sure you're
who was like, I wish this was on Spotify, and I said, baby, it is. Like, this is on every single podcasting platform that exists, every single, and the ones that you don't know exist. I promise you, it's on every single one.
Veezer.
Yeah, it's on
or
Veezer,
whatever.
It's on Pod Post. It's on Flump. It's on Scruff. It's
on Grindr.
It's on Grindr. Like, it's everywhere. I promise.
It was.
It is.
Yeah, anywhere you can find podcasts. And then and then also make sure you guys are still sending us emails. Send us emails, because we're gonna have obviously more episodes in the future. But if we don't have any more emails, we won't have any more episodes. So if you liked hearing about that fish smelling fish, then you want to hear some more, you gotta send us some emails. And then what was I gonna say? Do you have a recommendation? Or no? Because I don't have one. I know we didn't talk about it.
I feel like I was thinking of something last time, and I was like,
maybe a movie.
A movie?
No, they already saw sinners. I don't know. A candy, a something, a food, or
a food. I don't know.
Okay, well, they hate it anyways. We found out.
Yeah, they do.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We might bring it back. Also, we're gonna toy with the idea, because I don't know if you saw somebody commenting about how we should take a break after episode 24 or something like that, or whatever. We should talk about that, about like having a season, because we have 24 episodes and we're going. And turning them out.
But I'm okay with turning
we don't
them
even
out,
have an
guys.
intro.
We might not take a break. We might take a break, but I do want this to be more polished at some point in time. But then, allowing it to be more polished, we would need to like take time, so we can come back with intro. We can come back with dedicated things, maybe dedicated time spent per segment,
more visuals.
Exactly.
I need a real intro.
Yeah,
things like that. So we might take a little time to get to have a meeting about that. Danger. Anyways. Okay. All right. We'll talk to you guys later. I think that's it.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Peace out. Bye.